Two. Hello, check. Hello. You know, I had to do it to him. Hello, everyone. Get in here. We're getting started right off the bat here. We're getting going here. Let's get this show on the road. Let's get this show on the road, baby. Welcome in. Welcome, folks. Quick Draw McRob, says HJ. That's true. And you know, the reason that I didn't want to just like hang out on the intro screen for too long today is because this is very exciting. This is very exciting. This is a momentous day. This is a momentous day in the history of this program because I'm streaming I'm dual streaming. I'm dual streaming right now for the first time ever. This is, as you know from tuning into this program each and every day, TRRS, twitch.tv/Rob Rousseau. However, I'm also, it's a simulcast. I'm simulcasting. I'm live as well right now on TikTok for the first time. That's right. 2 locations. We're leveling up over here in this program. We're going to see how this goes. If you are watching this on TikTok, though, please sound off. Let me know. Or don't. Whatever. You can just hang out as well. That's also fine. But apparently, I'm looking at my data here. Apparently, we got some people on TikTok. So you tap in, I think is what you do. Is that what that is? If you're seeing me on TikTok on your For You page, you gotta tap in. I don't know, it's my first time doing this on TikTok. As you know, folks, I've been trying to become a TikTok influencer for quite some time. I'm a little too old for this, though. I'm too old for TikTok. So I've never been able to successfully gain much traction there. I did have a fairly successful TikTok a few weeks ago. That was kind of exciting. So I'm starting to build a little bit of an audience on there. As I mentioned, most of my audience is over here on Twitch. I have an audience on Twitter as well. TikTok has been something I've been trying to expand into for a little bit. And now I'm trying to take it to the next level. I'm taking this shit seriously now. I'm live on TikTok, so if you're watching, no matter where you're watching, right before it gets banned, exactly. The thing is, TikTok, what you might not know, what our TikTok friends might not realize, that I'm one of the top China propagandists online, on any platform. So that's why I needed to take it to TikTok. As we know, TikTok is just this sort of like avenue for brainwashing and Chinese propaganda, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to talk today about Donghua Jinglang, industrial and food grade glycine. This is what I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I am a huge proponent of Donghua Jinglang, industrial grade and food grade glycine. There's plenty of other places where you can pick up your glycine if you want to. No, I don't know why you would want to. But to me, it's about why don't you go with the best? You know, you don't go for second best or third best. For your glycine needs, if you need either industrial grade or food grade glycine, I don't see why you would ever think about going anywhere other than the fine folks at Donghua Jinglang Industrial and Food Grade Glycine Corporation. Chin chin. It's glycerific. That's the saying. That's what they say. I just got to the nanofiber shit part of Three Body Problem, and there had to be a better plan than that. That was my takeaway as well from that scene. Like, visually, okay, it was kind of cool. Visually, it was kind of cool. All right, I get it. But, like, surely there's another way of going about this, you know? Surely there's more effective ways of going about this, but, you know, who knows? Who knows? Does this mean I'm going to start dancing? Yes. Yes, it does. They were like, we can't blow up the ship. It could damage the hard drive. So instead, they turned the chip into shredded cheese. It's true. It wasn't really the best plan, I don't think. We don't want to damage that hard drive, so let's try this like totally experimental thing that's never been attempted before, where we shred the ship and everyone on it. Surely that'll protect all the electronic devices on there we want to save. Confirmed you broadened your audience by one. My partner's watching on TikTok. There we go. Wonderful. Wonderful. I mean, apparently, according to my stats here, it seems like I got viewers on there. I don't know who they are. We have one comment so far from TikTok, and I don't know if there's a way to get the comments to appear like on the screen. We have one comment so far from 90s Barbie World, who said LMAO. That's a good sign. But again, if you're tuning in on TikTok, if you're tapped in, please sound off in the comments. Eventually, I will find a way to incorporate the comments into the stream. But today is not that day. You have to let us know if someone puts the little cowboy hat on you while you're on Twitch. Well, that's it. Now I'm going to start... Or on TikTok, yeah. Now I'm going to start being the NPC... I'm going to start doing the NPC stuff. How does that work again? They give you, like, cakes and hot dogs and stuff, and... I start having some designated actions and words and phrases that I use. I think is how that works. Ice cream so good. Gang gang. Gang gang. Ice cream so good. Is that still a thing? I'm sure it's still a thing. I'm sure it is. I think it briefly blew up to a big kind of trend, which maybe I'm not so sure has continued. It will always be a thing. And anyway, if you're watching on TikTok as well, what this show is, you might be wondering, like, what is this? What's TRRS? What am I looking at here? Who's this guy? Who's this? And what I like to do on this show is we talk a lot about beverages. That's the main thing, really, now that I'm thinking about it. We mostly just talk about different beverages. I usually drink, a beverage or two. I'm a big fan of Diet Coke. And I don't like Coke Zero regular. I do really like Cherry Coke Zero, though, as well. Cherry Coke Zero. I'm mostly a Diet Coke guy. And energy drinks. A lot of energy drink chat over here. I don't know about you. I don't know about you on TikTok, but my current favorite energy drink is Reign Total Body Fuel. And I used to have a Reign Total Body Fuel sponsorship. Okay? I was sponsored. They were sending me cases of their product. And my contact at the company left the company. And now I don't get it for free anymore. And it actually is still a source of angst and frustration. The Diet Wild Cherry Pepsi is very good. That is good. But getting the Reign Cherry Limeade, oh baby. That Cherry Limeade Reign, that's excellent. That's good stuff. Chris Walker on TikTok says, but who has the best Diet Coke? Hot take, it's Wendy's. So normally I would say McDonald's, but we're boycotting McDonald's. Even their Diet Coke, which I think is the best in the business, but they're cut off. McDonald's is cut off. The Wendy's Diet Coke is good though as well. Absolutely. What did they call a quarter pounder in Canada? Well, it's just called a quarter pounder. It's not, regardless of whether we have the metric system or not. It's still a quarter pounder. Although I realized that in Canada we have the quarter pounder BLT, and I don't know if that's available everywhere. I thought it was, but that's often when I do go to McDonald's, that's my go-to is the quarter pounder BLT. But I don't think they have that everywhere. I don't think they have that in America. Or maybe they do in some locations. I don't know. The 133 grammer just doesn't roll off the tongue. No, it's not quite as...
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Oh, goodness. Lucid, thanks for the raid. Thank you very much, Lucid, for the raid. I appreciate that a whole lot. Thank you, Lucid. How was the Lucid stream today? I hope that it was good. And also, we should send a very, very special birthday wish to Orb Lady. I don't know if Orb Lady's tuning in right now, but if it's a very special birthday, it's a very special day for our friend Orb Lady, aka Evie. Happy birthday to Orb Lady. Chat, aka Lizard, was saying you're a misogynist and I wasn't having it. Thank you, Lucid. As you know, Lucid knows that I respect women. Lucid knows that no one respects women more than me. I mean, maybe some people do, but I respect them a lot, though. The maximum amount. So, and everyone knows this. Everyone understands this. So I was saying this is very exciting. This is very exciting. We're live streaming right now on TikTok as well as Twitch. This is my first time. This is my first time. It's a dual live stream. We're going to see how this goes. But it's very exciting. They do hold up half the sky. I mean, I've often said that I think that they hold up even more, but I think they hold up even more than half of the sky. I'm often saying this. Rob the TikToker. That's right, that's what they're calling me. That is what they're calling me. And again, if you're somehow tuning in on TikTok, tap in. If I'm appearing on your TikTok For You page, well, I don't know what messed up shit that you're into. If this is showing up on your For You page, my apologies though. I don't know what algorithm decided that I was going to be here with you right now on your For You page. I don't even want to imagine the kind of content that you're looking at, but are you going to start talking in kids lingo now? I already do that. Everyone knows I know all the kid lingo. I know all the hip... What are they talking about? Gooning and edging and gyats, I believe. Straight bussin'. I think we've moved past straight bussin', actually. I think that was like last year. I think straight bussin' was last year. Now we're talking about gyats. We're talking about gooning, edging. And so on and so forth. Bussin' is millennial now. That's right. The millennials, we start ironically using this language and then we ruin it for everybody. We ruin it for the Zoomers. We ruin it for the Zoomers by taking their lingo and start using it ironically. and then they have to readjust. This is why the language is evolving so fast now. This is exactly why the language is evolving, because millennials start taking over the lingo as a joke, and we instantly make it super lame. Is this famous blogger I've been hearing about, says Ryalan on TikTok, and that is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. I am a world famous Canadian blogger, the ripe old age of 62 years old. And if you are watching this on TikTok and you want to be part of the chat on here, because I can see the TikTok chats, but if you want your chats to like be in the chat on the screen right now, you can also visit twitch.tv/Rob Rousseau, where I do this show each and every day. I do this stream each and every day and have done so now going on 4 years every day. So now I'm going to start broadcasting these on TikTok as well. So we're really taking this to the next level this year. I wanted to expand this thing. I wanted to expand this audience and allow more people to get access to the Friendship Triangle system, which is the world's only two-dimensional triangle-shaped friendship access and trickle-down clout tiered reward system. It's the only such system that exists on all of social media. For a while, it was just a Twitch exclusive, and now it's the Friendship Triangle system is coming to TikTok as well. Very exciting. And if you're curious about what this means and what this community is all about, I have prepared a brief little presentation. You might be watching this going, what is this? What am I looking at here? Well, I can explain. I can explain exactly what it is, because I've created this little onboarding video, this little orientation video. So just if you're curious about what it is, this is it. You can just watch this video. It's going to explain what the community is all about. And I should remind everyone watching, whether you're on whatever platform you're on, TikTok or Twitch or whatever it is, that the only way that I'm able to do this show each and every day is if this little number at the bottom of the screen goes up. So it's like a pyramid. No, it's not a pyramid. It's triangle shaped. Common misconception. Common misconception. But I'm going to show you this video. If you can, if possible, please support the program. It's the only way I'm able to do this show each and every day. And if you want to know what the community is about, what the show is all about, here it is. A little presentation for you.
Thank you for expressing interest in the Friendship Triangle.
Rob to talk you through all this.
Fine.
Sean, thank you very much for the 38 months of Tier 1. I appreciate that. But I'll remind people to please hold your subscriptions and support until the end of the presentation. Shit.
Thank you for expressing interest in the Friendship Triangle community. We would be thrilled to have you on board as a member of our exclusive platform. As you may know, the Friendship Triangle is Twitch's only two-dimensional, triangle-shaped, friendship access and trickle-down clout tiered reward system. Today you have an amazing opportunity to join the base level of the Friendship Triangle system. Once you are part of the community, you'll have the ability to rise through the ranks and achieve higher levels of access and rewards. One way to do this is by gifting subscriptions to your fellow members or by inviting your friends and family members to join our community. As you ascend the tiers, you will be exposed to a range of new and exciting benefits, such as exclusive content, advanced features, and access to our elite community members. We are confident that you will enjoy all the perks that come with being part of the Friendship Triangle. However, we also want to remind you that not all friends and family members are to be trusted, especially those who may not support your new lifestyle. That's why we encourage you to focus on building meaningful relationships within our community, where you will find like-minded individuals who share your interests and values. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team. We are always here to support our members and ensure that your experience with the Friendship Triangle is enjoyable. We're glad that you are considering joining the Friendship Triangle community. We look forward to seeing you rise through the Chaos Zone and all the way into the Elite Tier. It's not a cult.
There you go. So that should answer anyone's questions that they might have about what the community is about, what this show is about. I think that covered pretty much all the bases there. Should really explain to everyone what's going on here. You can tell by the disclaimer that it's not a cult. That's right, exactly. Some people have such strange questions, but it is a thorough presentation. I think that's what's good about that presentation is it really covers all those bases. You can tell when people are watching it, they're like, hey, but wait, oh, no, there it is. It was explained. That was explained. Yeah, in Re 918, I love that VHS effect too. It really activates those nostalgia centers, doesn't it? Definitely not a pyramid. Exactly. It's two-dimensional, triangle shaped. It literally physically can't be a pyramid if it's in 3 dimensions. It's just 2 dimensions. So, Anyway, once again, I'll say hello to the viewers over on TikTok right now. Thank you for tuning in. Please drop a comment if you want to, if you're watching. Kind of experimenting today. It's my first time ever streaming on TikTok. If you are watching on there, please leave a comment, drop a like, whatever it is. And yes, if you can, please support this community. I do really appreciate that a lot. And it is the only way that I'm able to keep doing this show each and every day. If you're on TikTok, I have no idea how you can actually do that. I'm pretty sure there are ways, but don't ask me to explain it. I'm very new to this.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Ryalan, thanks very much for the gifted sub. I appreciate that. I think that streaming on TikTok,
count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Gives you control of everyone's Wi-Fi. I believe so. Yeah. I believe that's how that works. I'm in your Wi-Fi now. Risk Inverse, thanks for the gifted sub also. What's going on, everybody? By the way, how's it going? Anything you want to talk about here? Can I sub on TikTok? I think on TikTok you can do stuff. You can give me like hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff, but I don't know what that means or what that does or how that works at all. Yeah, OJ died. That's true. We lost OJ, and in fact, this is really shocking stuff, but I found footage of the tragic accident that claimed the life of O.J. Simpson today. Very, very sad stuff. Sad state of affairs. Prayers up to the O.J.'s family. I know this footage is upsetting, but I think in the interest of being a journalist, it's important to pay attention to important big news stories. So I'm going to play this footage. It might be shocking or upsetting, but I think it's important to see. So here's the footage of O.J. Simpson's tragic death.
And back on the force.
Nordberg, that's wonderful.
Whoa! Oh, Frank, everyone should have a friend like you.
Very tragic. Very upsetting. You hate to see it. Terrible that he had to go that way. I agree. Very sad stuff. Hey, look, we got community member Plunger Man commenting on TikTok. My first time watching a live stream on TikTok. That's wonderful. Very cool. Well, I was just mentioning earlier because I had a meeting earlier and I was talking about OJ when that news broke. Like when I was a kid, like I knew OJ Simpson from Naked Gun. I didn't know him from being a big famous football player or whatever. I knew him from Nordberg and Naked Gun because Naked Gun, that was just one of the VHSs that we had in my house that I just watched. Because back in my day, you know, growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, we didn't have any fancy streaming, okay? We didn't have Netflix. We didn't have Prime. We didn't have Disney Plus. We didn't have Twitch.tv. We didn't have TikTok, okay? We didn't have any of this fancy shit that the young people now today have. What we had was a big closet full of VHS tapes. And just the VHS tapes that you had, that's what you watched. Those were the movies that you had. Sometimes you got new tapes, sometimes you had, but sometimes there's just stagnant. Sometimes months or even years would go by, and those were all the movies that you had. So Naked Gun was one of the movies. It was one of the movies that I watched just repeatedly over and over and over and over again. Sometimes we went to the video store and rented tapes. And you know what? I miss that. In Brockville, Ontario, where I grew up, they had the Jumbo Video. And goddamn, I gotta say, I really loved and I missed the experience of getting out of school on Friday and going to Jumbo Video with my mom, where there was free popcorn. And you could walk around and eat your popcorn and look at all the rows of videotapes and select a movie to watch. That was fantastic. What a great way to spend an evening. That was great. I think that I've seen that there's trying to be some new like independent video stores coming back. I think it was especially when we're seeing with streaming now, the limits of streaming, people are all of a sudden realizing like, oh yeah, physical media is actually pretty good to have. You know, it turns out if this movie that you want to see isn't on streaming, sometimes you just can't watch it anymore. You know? Jumbo Video did not have the little room in the back with the adult movies. I do not believe there was this is a family establishment, okay? There was no adult section at Jumbo Video. Don't take this innocent nostalgic memory away from me, okay? I remember Jumbo Video. I kept all my physical media. I wish I had kept all my physical media over the years. That was great, though. That was a great experience. I think they should bring that back. Who wants to start a business with me? You have a little cafe. You have a VHS, or VHS or DVD, big rental place. You got some sofas, movies playing on the screens. You get some coffee. Huh? Wouldn't that be cool? Why can't we bring that back? You don't see video stores with little rooms full of adult movies anymore because of wokeness. Exactly. My husband keeps hassling me to get rid of my DVD Blu-ray collection because he doesn't like the cabinet, but whenever he wants to watch a movie, I'll have it, and none of the streaming places do. This is it. You got to keep that shit. You might need to sell VHS players. It's true. I'd like to get a VCR. I still have some tapes. I got a box full of tapes in the other room. Hold on, I'm going to go get my box of VHS tapes. I picked up this box from my parents' house in the garage because I have somewhere. Maybe it still exists. Maybe it's in a landfill rotting somewhere. I just don't know. Somewhere I have a VHS tape of the time that I hauled around my 90s camcorder for like half of a year when I was like 17, 18. Somewhere I have a VHS with like an hour of footage of that period of my life, and I don't know if it still exists anymore. I found this box in my parents' house, and I thought it might be in there, and I don't think it is. Hold on one sec. Shit's heavy. What do we got here? We got Mr. Bean. Who doesn't love Mr. Bean? But this is a classic because a lot of these I taped like off the because my dad had a satellite dish and a HBO and all that stuff. He had one of those big old satellite dishes that you actually reposition to like go to different places. And I taped a lot of movies off of there, like Twister. The sequel's just coming out. Twisters. And to me, I don't know, like the time to put out Twisters was like 1998. You know? Why are we putting out a Twister sequel? Do we really need a legacy sequel to Twister? And I love Twister, but don't get me wrong. It's really good. But I feel like you missed the opportunity for your Twister sequel. What else do we have in here? I don't know where this is from because this is not my handwriting. I don't know where I got this. This is a double feature. Can you see this? It's a double feature of The Shining and He Got Game. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining and Spike Lee's He Got Game, starring Ray Allen. This tape is fucked up. This tape is broken. But here's a VHS tape of David Schwimmer's The Pallbearer. David Schwimmer from Friends made like a dark romantic comedy, The Pallbearer, in probably 1997. Can't remember if it's any good. Oh, this is class. Here's a classic. Gene Wilder's Haunted Honeymoon. With Dom DeLuise, Gilda Radner's in that. A lot of comic legends in this Haunted Honeymoon. It's kind of a send up of the radio play era of entertainment. Haunted Honeymoon. Classic. This one was obviously my older brother because my older brother was obsessed with Yngwie Malmsteen. My brother was a big Yngwie Malmsteen fan back in the day. Rising Force, Live 85. At first I thought it said Kissing Force. I thought that was kind of funny. Yngwie. Sorry, Vargas. Yngwie Malmsteen. My brother was really into that shit. Where do I on this for the Kissing Force? I know. That's exciting. Here's This is funny as well because this is how I got into sports. This kind of stuff. These old like NFL videos. Here's NFL 15 greatest comebacks from as of 1993. Like this is a lot of how I like learned about sports. I remember one of the main. I don't know if it's in this box, but one of the main things that I like got into sports from was Sports Illustrated Year in Sports 91. That was another video my brother had, Year in Sports 1991. And that's another thing that I just watched like repeatedly over and over and over again. God, I don't even remember what this is. This is Maximum Risk, which was taped over an episode of Magnum PI. Maximum Risk. It's some kind of like action movie. I want to say is it Natasha Henstridge maybe in that? Like from Species? I really don't even remember. Maximum Risk. I want to say Natasha Henstridge was in that, but I'm really not sure. Oh man, I remember this tape from when I was this. This is big nostalgia time here now. I remember this tape. My brother taped the 1996 NCAA final. We just had the final the other day, Kentucky versus Syracuse. This Kentucky team was so stacked. They had Antoine Walker, they had Ron Mercer, they had Tony Delk. Syracuse had John Wallace, who was an absolute beast in college. Never quite had the same NBA career. Oh, cool. And this is my tape of the NBA Finals. NBA Finals Game 6. This is 95-96 with the Bulls versus the Sonics. Taped every single one of those games because I really like the Sonics. I don't need to go through this whole box, by the way. I'm not just going to sit here for the next hour going through this box of VHS tapes. Just getting a couple examples here. Ooh, a classic. Classic. So good. The Rock. Not the People's Champion. Not the Final Boss. The Rock, the Michael Bay film from 1997, 6, with Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery. Classic. An absolute action classic. And by the way, I see Ryalan on TikTok gave 300 coins. Ryalan, thank you. I don't know what that means, and I don't know what that does. But Ryalan, I appreciate it. Thank you. Losers whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen. Carla was the prom queen. Okay, this is a kind of embarrassing. I genuinely don't know. I don't know how this got in here. I don't know what's on here, but this is important. This is part of the VHS experience. I'm just going to show this to you. I genuinely, I don't know whose this is. I don't know how that got in there. That's in the box as well, though. And that's just part of the VHS experience is finding is having those. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and whitewash this for you. All right. Anyway, that was the VHS nostalgia zone. That was fun. That was the VHS nostalgia zone. I don't think there's anything else. I mean, there's I don't know what it all is. I think somewhere in there is White Men Can't Jump, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think that's if it's not a top 10, it's a top 15. I would have to reevaluate, but it's definitely up there. We watched it in the Discord server last year sometime, and it was fantastic. One of my favorite movies. I was a big Jack Harlow fan. How do you don't remake White Men Can't Jump? Like, come on. What are we doing here? You got Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes. Oh yeah, sure. We can just instantly recreate that chemistry. No problem. We're bringing what's Jack Harlow up to? Yeah, it should be no problem. We'll just instantly recreate the chemistry of fucking Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes in the early 90s. Like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? Are you serious with this? White Man Can't Jump sounds like anti-white racism to me. This is wokeness. This is before wokeness, this new phenomenon. People would lose their minds over that if that was just released today. Yeah, friggin' Banana Pants, Rosie Perez in that movie is just like, just the best. Yeah, more like Woke Men Can't Jump. That's right. You might as well call it that. Elon Musk could be tweeting about it. This is anti-white racism. Grimes, this movie's doing anti-white racism. What a nerd. Does that make Woody Passenger 58? I haven't seen Passenger 57 for quite some time, but remember they did reunite as well. They did that movie Money Train as well, which I don't know if it was, I remember watching it once. I definitely watched Money Train once when it came out in the mid-90s or whatever it was. It was nowhere near the same level of success or saturation. Back from the land of the Zoomers can confirm stream is working. Well, Ryan, thank you for testing it out. Is it like horizontal? Rylan, I gotta ask. I don't even know how to check. Or does it turn it into some weird vertical thing? Don't throw Mama from the Money Train. It's funny. I've been seeing like on Prime or whatever, that movie, Don't Throw Mama from the Train, the Danny DeVito and Billy Crystal movie. I was a big Billy Crystal guy back in that time too, the early 90s. They did have great chemistry. I haven't seen it for quite some time too. I remember the mom in the movie being very like upsetting. The mom in that is like really like just like a gross person. So I don't know what else to get into here. I did see the most recent episode of Shogun. Has people been watching Shogun? I gotta open up a thread in the Discord server for Shogun discussion. The latest episode was crazy. I've been quite enjoying that. Let's hear a box of NES cartridges. I don't have NES cartridges. I do have Genesis games though. I have those in the other room. Like I could go get those for you if you really wanted me to. I've got like a couple of Genesis games. In fact, you know what I picked up? I'm 2 episodes behind. I need to start watching it. Okay, well, I'm not going to spoil anything that just happened, but the end of the last episode was wild. You know what I just got the other day? It was one of those like game sticks, which is like a thing you plug into the HDMI port of your TV. That has all these like it has like 10,000 games on it. It's kind of cool. I mean, it was not very expensive. It works okay. It's not perfect. I think some of the Genesis games especially were kind of laggy. But it was like $30 or something. It's like $30. There's 10,000 games on it. It does show up horizontal on TikTok, but it looks good. Okay, good. Green burrito. Thank you. Just downloaded RetroArch. Well, the thing is, I wanted it for I didn't want it on my PC. Like, I know you can get emulators on PC, like, easily. But, like, I wanted to be able to sit down on my sofa on my TV and play Super Nintendo games or Genesis games or whatever, what have you. There's a couple of PS1 games, not a huge selection of those. A lot of Super Nintendo games, though. Although I was trying to figure out how to like save, because I started Chrono Trigger. I was just hanging out with my son and I was showing him Chrono Trigger. And I don't know if I don't think I can save it. So I don't know if there's a way to like save progress. I have to figure that out still. I was never really into those like JRPGs. Like I never played Chrono Trigger. I never played Final Fantasy. Phantasy Star, that was another big one. I never really played them. It was never really my genre. You should show your son Earthbound. That was my fave at his age. Yeah, I could do that. I could do that. I have a few old games like on the PlayStation. We've played like Earthworm Jim. That's fun. Rob was more into the Leisure Suit Larry franchise. That's actually, there's truth to that, because I remember like on my first like home PC, Leisure Suit Larry, and like my older brothers played it because I was just a little kid, and the allure of Leisure Suit Larry. Oh, what forbidden sights am I going to see playing this? It was very exciting, And there was a whole like adult password system. I can't remember exactly how it worked, and I was like, oh my goodness, oh Leisure Suit Larry. ACAB includes Sunny Bonds. Well, Police Quest 2 as well was one of the first games I ever played also. I never beat it as well. I made it close to the end of Police Quest 2, but I'd never beat it. I remember you get to, it must be like right around the end, you get into this like sewer and you die of like gas inhalation and you need to have like a gas mask or something, and I just could never find it. I just never beat Police Quest 2. X-Wing and TIE Fighter was my shit with that flight stick. Yeah, well, I remember. I mean, that was so cool to see. Remember, it was like, it's like the future, man. Whoa, playing those like old Star Wars games. I remember seeing the box for Leisure Suit Larry and Radio Shack as a kid and being confusingly titillated. Very exciting. Leisure Suit Larry for us old heads. Leisure Suit Larry, that's right. I never played any of the sequels. I only played the original one. I know it spawned a whole franchise. But I never got into the sequels. You talking original PlayStation? No. I'm talking original like PC, like old DOS or Windows 3.1. I think that would predate Windows. I think that would be DOS. I think you played that on DOS. Yeah, the MS-DOS gaming era. That's right. I think another one that I've talked about this, but I'm sure I've talked about this before. Altered Destiny. Altered Destiny. I really remember this game as well. There it is. You fire it up on DOS. This was like the anti-piracy thing you had to use. Here we go. I'm sure I've shown this to you before. This is another one I never beat. I was pretty young. Like, I know I'm old, and I remember I'm old enough to remember the MS-DOS era, but I was still pretty young at this time. I never beat this one. Here's Altered Destiny. You're like some yuppie. You're some yuppie that gets pulled into this crazy adventure. Early 90s. Pretty much the peak of Western civilization. This is right before the decline started. All we had was smooth sailing into the future. Oh yeah, I remember that one as well. Out of This World, the Trio. That had really good graphics for the time too. That was like a really big, exciting thing. That's 8-bit Ryan Gosling. In all honesty, like the story of this game, you could adapt this. You put Gosling in an Altered Destiny movie, it would be hilarious. See, look, he sees this big, like, barbarian guy coming out of the TV repair shop. It's like, who's this guy? No, it's not that he's tiny, it's that this guy's super huge. He's walking around with a sword. He's like, what the hell's this guy doing? Who's this guy? Go and pick up his TV. You could absolutely make Altered Destiny into a Ryan Gosling movie, and I think you could get people to... I think you could make money with this. Put me in charge of an Altered Destiny remake. I could make... Give me $30 million. Give me $30 million to make an Altered Destiny movie, I'm going to deliver something special. I promise you that. Oh, I gave the wrong guy the TV. He gave the TV to the big barbarian guy. So he's like, oh, don't worry about it. Take this TV instead while we switch it back up. Big Bob Roy is the guy's name. How much of that is Ryan Gosling getting? Probably a good 20. Now that I think about it. It's inflation, I guess. Okay, so he's back at his like yuppie apartment. We got Trudy showing up soon. We got the TV set up. He's probably playing Gaucho on those big speakers there. Picking out a little outfit here. We got to move those refrigerators. We got to move them color TVs. Okay, he's all ready to go. Is this his outfit for a date? For a lady coming over? Was he wearing pajamas? That's presumptuous. Why don't I slip into this while you warm up the TV? You gotta warm up the TV. Just let yourself in. I'll be in the kitchen wearing pajamas. Just gonna sit down, turn on the TV. What are we watching? Oh shit. Oh god. Oh no. Oh no. Oh shit. You got sucked into the TV dimension. And he's talking to some cosmic head that's like, wait, where's the big warrior? I am Jonqua. You float between here and there. Had I the power, I would send you back and summon the warrior we need, but you'll have to do. Our time runs out. So you could do a movie with all practical effects, with weird puppets and stuff, and it would work, because the nostalgia thing would, because it would be like one of those movies, with random movies that you watch in the 90s on VHS. Right? You remake this, you get a bunch of guys and weird puppets and you know, prosthetics and animatronics. You do it that way. Yeah, the music is so good. And by the way, again, if you're watching this on TikTok today, please tap in. It's me, Rob. I'm streaming on TikTok now. I do the show each and every day. It's my first time ever streaming on TikTok, though. So if you're watching on there, tap in. Sound off in the comments. Say hello. A lot of the time we talk about like important news and politics and stuff on here. Other times we just sit around and do this. We look at clips of old early 90s computer games that I used to play when I was younger. That's the beauty of this show. You cover a lot of ground. Don't drag me into your family bullshit, sir. I'm imprisoned by Helmar. I can manage only this one task. It'll take a stranger whose presence is unknown to Helmar to approach him. We entrust this task to you. You're our only hope. Find the Jewel of Light and wrest it from Helmar before we all perish. So this yuppie, he's totally not prepared for any of this stuff. He's in his pajamas. Gets pulled into this fantasy world. He's got to go on a quest. Oh, that's so cool, though. This ship is so cool. So now he's stuck. He's in this weird dimension. He's in this weird dimension, and now he's got to go on this quest. Yeah, the typing commands, exactly. That's how we did it. Who's this fella? Alnar the Metal Shaper. We're the generation of DOS games in elementary school, Oregon Trail. So, Kev, the computers that I had when I was in elementary school, there were these computers. I don't know if this was just an Ontario thing. I don't know how common these were, but they were called icon computers. Icons. And they had like a big keyboard and a trackball like on top of the keyboard. And you would use that, and there was all kinds of weird programs on there. No, I was not in elementary school before computers existed. In fact, I'm just describing the fact that I did, in fact, use computers. And they were called icon computers. We had Apple computers in Alberta, most of the typing programs. Yeah, the typing programs. I remember on those icon PCs, there was like a robot game where you had to like design a robot. There was like an early, like rudimentary, like animation thing. In BC, we had little Mac computers with a 6-inch screen. Zork and Return to Zork were bangers. The Apple IIe. Interesting. Prince of Persia for Hamas supporters. That's another thing to our TikTok friends. I think if you are watching this stream, one thing that like we unfortunately we have to take seriously is that if you enjoy this program, you must support Hamas. I wish there was another way to do it. Unfortunately, we have to be serious about this. It's kind of a gatekeepy thing, so. I'm gonna get kicked off of TikTok before I even get started. I'm gonna get banned. I'm gonna get banned and canceled. So that's Altered Destiny. So I wonder what happens here. Because again, I remember the whole beginning of this game. Police Quest. 2. Oh man, this shit is so cool. When I was in elementary school in Manitoba, we had Dell computers with Windows 2000. Then they later switched to Windows XP. Yeah, this is before my time, obviously. Or I was before your time. It's before your time. Because I'm old. Okay, so you start off with your partner. I sort of remember. There's one point you go on a plane. You take a flight. And the flight actually gets hijacked. Yeah, there's this place. You go to like a motel and there's a shotgun rigged to the door. So when you try to kick down the door, that damn Jesse Baines is on the loose again, I know. There's a shotgun rigged to the door, so if you try and open it, you get blown away. So you got away there. Okay, so I was right at the end. I just never finished it. Because you go in a plane and then the plane gets hijacked, which is probably, in retrospect, probably super racist. You're on the plane. I'm imagining that this is insanely racist. We're going to see. Yeah, these guys. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, no, I was absolutely correct. I was absolutely correct. You could not make Police Quest 2 these days because of wokeness. It says, "Do not move, pigs, or I will blow out your brains." They're doing like the accent in the dialogue. "This plane is ours," he commands, "in the name of the Sheik of the Golden Sands." Oh my goodness. And then you take those guys out. Just murder them. "This plane is commandeered for Hamas." Hamas. That's right. You might as well have done that. God damn. I remember all this. So then you get to this other place. There's this park. And he finds a sewer. And you get into the sewer. This is where I always died. And I was right at the end, too. I was literally right at the end. And I've never made it past this part. He finds the manhole cover. How does he not die from the gas, though? Why is he not dying? You feel a burning sensation in your eyes. Your breathing becomes labored. You can't get enough air. You're weak and lightheaded. You seem to have made it through this pocket of methane gas. What? You just walk past it? No. No. Do you know how much time I spent? Oh, he found a mask there. I thought it was in like the police station. Is this where he is? Man, I was right there. So he took that mask. He didn't even put it on. The police have been defunded because of wokeness. Okay, wow. So in the TikTok chat here, we got Green Burrito has sent PlayStation controllers. What is those? Coffees, some hearts, and a couple of roses. I don't know what that is, but thank you, Green Burrito. On the TikTok, is there like stuff going on the screen? I have no idea how this shit works. I'm starving for TRRS retro gaming content. I'm gathering up crumbs of you just watching a video of a DOS game and rationing them like rare delicacies. I could do some retro gaming stuff sometime. Absolutely. I can't believe how close I was to finishing this game. I was right at the end and I just never figured it out. Here comes Jesse Bain. Oh. Got his ass. We have a police-involved shooting in the sewer. The destructive vengeance of the Death Angel has been silenced. I remember I played Police Quest 3 as well, which is a later iteration, and I never finished that either. I made progress, but I never finished. How did they get off the hijacked plane? Well, you shot the hijackers and then just landed the plane like normal. This is funny. You've been placed on a mandatory 3-day administrative leave of absence resulting from the shooting death of Jesse Baines. Of course, he gets a little vacation. We don't talk about we need to examine the economic conditions and the alienation that led to, it's easy to criticize Jesse Baines now. We need to be looking at the economic and social conditions which led to Jesse Baines committing those crimes in the first place. We think just pumping more millions of dollars to the police is going to solve that? You spend needed leisure time with Marie and await results from the Lytton PD Internal Affairs Shooting Review Board. I'm sure they'd have no problem with that. The feds entrapped him. That's right. The 3 days finally passed. Now the findings, conclusions, and recommendations from the Shooting Review Board are as follows. The Review Board findings. The board finds that homicide detective Sonny Bonds, while on duty, was involved in the discharge of his weapon at another human being during the process of rescuing kidnapped victim Marie Wilkins.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Further, the shooting resulted in the fatal wounding of Jesse Baines, escaped fugitive. Thank you, Diego, for the gifted sub. I appreciate you, Diego. The board notes Jesse Baines, while using a stolen .32 caliber Browning automatic, first attacked and fired at Detective Bonds with the intent to commit murder. I didn't see that personally.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I didn't see him getting fired upon. I thought it seemed like he kind of just hid by the corner and just shot him as he walked in the door. This seems to be a little bit of bullshit here. Moss, thank you for the 37 months of Tier 1. I appreciate it. And please, if you're watching, folks, and you want to support this program, please subscribe if you can. I've got to make the little number at the bottom of the screen go up each and every day. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe or give subs. Support the work that I do on here. Support the community. And if you're on TikTok as well, you can also do that also. You can support the show by sending objects or whatever that is. I don't know. I think you can do that if you want to. Or you can come onto Twitch and click on the link in the chat here as well. But if you can, please do subscribe to this program. It's the only way I can continue doing this show each and every day, is if people subscribe. So please do. Bonds hid behind a pipe and surprised Baines. Never identified himself as an officer. No, there was no words exchanged. Good point. The review board conclusions. The board finds that Detective Bonds acted in self-defense while in fear of his own life and while protecting the life of kidnapped victim Marie Wilkins. The board concludes that the shooting death of Jesse Baines by homicide detective Sonny Bonds was totally and unquestionably legal and justifiable. What a surprise. What a surprise. The board recommends immediate cancellation of administrative leave, therefore returning Detective Bonds to permanent active status. Detective Sonny Bonds will receive Lytton Police Department's Silver Commendation Award for superior effort and performance while engaged in a life-threatening situation. The board recommends that Detective Sonny Bonds participate in a 2-week rest and relaxation period prior to returning to duty. The three-piece band strikes it up as Captain Fletcher Hall presents you with the Silver Commendation Award. Although you know it's a lie, Keith vows to quit smoking by the time you return from the island paradise. Since this is a special occasion, you wonder why the captain can't quit slurping, licking, and smacking ice cream long enough to get you out of here. This is Biden. This is Biden's America. It predates Biden's America by 30 years, but it's still slurping ice cream. Better than the old habit he used to have, dipping and spitting snuff. What does this have to do with... Okay, whatever. What happens when he gets on the plane? Then... you and Marie fly into the sunset. While in the sky bound for the Bahamas, you ask Marie, "Will you marry me?" Better not get hijacked again. It would be a terrible coincidence. Tears of joy flowing, Marie answers, "Yes." Man, I was so close. I was so close to finishing that game. That's too bad. She looks half interested. Yeah, she's like, he's just there with his thumbs up. She's like, yeah, whatever. She's all hopped up on like Valium or something. What was the early 90s Xanax equivalent? So the takeaway is Rob played the game too slow. What I don't understand, though, is that in that sewer part, Ludes, there we go, yeah, Ludes. Now Ludes means something different. But I don't understand. He found the mask, which is what I spent months trying to find that mask and couldn't do it. But then he didn't even put it on in the sewer. He just walked past the toxic gas. What the fuck's up with that? She gets kicked in the back by the kid behind her and the plain toilet flushes loudly as he slips the ring on. Yeah, very romantic stuff. Very romantic stuff. I do remember playing Police Quest 3 as well. And I came close to finishing that. I never did as well. I think that one had a whole like satanic element. There was like a satanic ritual serial killer type thing. This guy is still yapping, and really chill guy. Not only am I yapping here on Twitch, but I'm also live right now on TikTok as well. I'm live on TikTok talking to people about the amazing food and industrial grade glycine being produced by the Donghua Jinglong Food and Industrial Glycine Corporation. No one's doing it better. No one's doing it better than Donghua Jinglong right now in the industrial or food strength glycine game. No one's doing it. The live stream doesn't seem to show up on my like file page or anything. The algorithms just sent me glycine videos yesterday. What's going on? Well, what's going on, Moistolets, is that people around the world are discovering the absolutely incredible quality of Donghua Jinglong produced industrial and food strength glycine products. It's taking the world by storm. It's a very exciting time. More and more people are learning about this wonderful company and their incredible top quality chemical products. Sell me this glycine. Well, look, like speaking of TikTok, I made a video about this. As you can see. Where is it here?
Introducing Donghua Jinlong's food-grade glycine. Unlock Donghua Jinlong's food-grade glycine in 2024. Suitable as a flavor enhancer, sweetener, and nutritional supplement. Also used in pickles, sweet sauces, soy sauce, vinegar, and juices to improve taste. We've been deeply involved in this field for over 40 years. A well-established brand and a large factory. Committed to providing you with high-quality, high-standard, and cost-effective products. Introducing Donghua.
That's it. That's what it's about. It's taking TikTok by storm.
The thing about Donghua Jinlong is that they don't just make industrial grade glycine and food grade glycine, they make pharmaceutical grade glycine. So what the fuck are you all even on? You should be getting on the pharmaceutical grade glycine train. The thing about Donghua Jinlong.
So by now we all know about Donghua Jinlong and their high-quality industrial-grade glycine.
Industrial-grade glycine produced by Donghua Jinlong. Their products stick to strict production standards like FCC.
It's obviously the best industrial-grade glycine on the market, we all know that. And if you, like so many others, enjoy using Donghua Jinlong's high-quality industrial-grade glycine, then here's some other Donghua Jinlong products I think you'll also enjoy. So first up is Donghua Jinlong's sodium glycinate. Now, I used to get my sodium glycinate from Hubei Jingfa Chemicals Group, but somewhere along the line their quality just really fell off for me. And I found Donghua Jinlong sodium glycinate just to be so much more potent. It's just more stable, the quality can't be beat. I would give it a try. Next up, if you love Donghua Jinlong's high-quality industrial-grade glycine, you have to check out their pharmaceutical-grade glycine. Look, I know, it sounds crazy. I say that to my friends, and all of them go, but Dan, that doesn't make any sense. Donghua Jinlong only makes high-quality industrial-grade glycine. If you want pharmaceutical glycine, you gotta go to Zhenxin Chemicals Group. Donghua's just for the industrial-grade stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Like, come on, man. Like, this is 2024.
What are we doing?
Donghua Jinlong's production standards have just been through the roof. I'm telling you, just try out their pharmaceutical-grade glycine one time and let me know what you think about it. And finally, if you love Donghua Jinlong's high-quality industrial-grade glycine, you will love their iron glycinate. And if you can't find the real thing, you can check out Guangzhou Chemicals Group makes a similar kind, and but it's not the same. You'll know the difference. So by now we all know about Donghua Jinlong.
All kinds of important information about this right now. You know?
You girls act like the only place that you can get your industrial grade glycine is from Donghua Jinlong. Newsflash, there's so many other better places that you can get your industrial grade glycine if you know where to look.
Look, bestie, we can see what you're doing.
It's causing a lot of controversy.
You're slandering Donghua Jinlong for clout. You don't even name the alternatives. Sure, there are competitors. There's other brands that you can get your glycine from. Like, are you really going to go to a Ajinomoto group? I know their high-performance semiconductors are good, but their glycine, no. Don't even get me started on Geo Specialty Chemicals. First of all, they manufacture their shit in Texas. Like, sure, American made, like that sounds great, but what are you gonna do when it's winter time and the power grid fails? Where are you gonna get your glycine now? Huh? What about New Trend Group? Yeah, they're up and coming, like their name says, and they're kind of an upstart in the market, but they do monk fruit sweeteners. Glycine is like their second or third choice.
This is just tearing the glycine community apart.
From somebody that's not fully committed. No, I'll bet this person gets their glycine from Chatham Chemicals. You do not want to go to Chatham Chemicals. They're a scam. They do that purist glycine woo-woo shit. No, their glycine sucks. So sure, there's many other glycine suppliers, but the only choice is Donghua Jinlong because they have a whopping 31 patent.
It is the official glycine.
The ISO certifications, including
20. It is the official industrial grade, food grade, and pharmaceutical grade glycine of TRRS. That's absolutely right.
22,000 and 9,001. Does your glycine manufacturer meet those certifications? Maybe. Who knows? But their glycine's going to be low quality. You know it is. That's why I say if you don't unlock 2024
to talk you through all this.
Squandered Octopus. Thanks for the Prime sub. I really appreciate that. I believe it's a brand new community member. Squandered Octopus. Thank you for that. And if anyone else wants to subscribe, in case anyone was like curious about where I stand on glycine products, obviously I'm completely all in on Donghua Jinlong's high quality industrial grade, food grade, and pharmaceutical grade glycine. It's the only place that the only company that I'm ever gonna be trusting for any of my glycine needs. So I hope that clears that up. And again, if anyone wants to support this program, if you weren't sure about that, and now I've made that clear,
on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Greasy Groob 69, thanks for the Prime. Thanks for the 10 months of Prime, Greasy Groob. I appreciate that. Brand new, here for the glycine, guys. Wonderful. Good. I'm glad we can all come to an agreement on this. On Donghua Jinlong's high-grade glycine products. Thanks again, Greasy Groob. And again, if people can subscribe to the show or support the show, every little bit helps.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Crystal, thank you for the gifted sub as well. Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate that. I'm here for about another 2 hours, a little less. 27 subs to go. Should be no problem. But again, I'm trying to hit these targets each and every day if I can. It's the only way that I'm able to do this show each and every day is by through the very generous support of the community. So if you can, please do subscribe or gift subs or support the work that I do right here on Twitch and TikTok as well.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Progressive Canuck, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Very much appreciated, Progressive Canuck. And as you heard in that alert, when it comes to the Friendship Triangle system, social media is only 2-dimensional triangle-shaped friendship access and trickle-down cloud tiered reward system. Sometimes, you're on the outside looking in. You think to yourself, I could never be in the elite tier. That's got to be a huge investment of time, a huge investment of money. Not true. That's not the case at all. You can be brand new to the community, and once you gift 5 subs and above, instantly rockets you right up to the very tippy top of the Friendship Triangle system. Once again, that's social media's only 2-dimensional triangle-shaped friendship access and trickle-down clout tiered reward system. Instantly rocket right up to the very tippy top of that. And thank you again, Progressive Canuck. And once again, please subscribe to the show if you can, folks. I really do appreciate it.
Glycine manufacturer Donghua
Back to this
Jinlong.
glycine
What are you
content.
doing with your life? I swear to God, these people treat glycine like it's a game. Like you could just interchange and swap out whatever kind of glycine you want. Like you can use industrial grade in food use cases or food grade in pharmaceutical use cases. No, the choice of glycine matters. Your brand matters.
I swear, I'm so tired of these small creators coming on this app and trashing Donghua Jinlong. I'm not going to accept it anymore, and you shouldn't either.
You girls act like...
Fantastic. Oh, we got someone. This is an important. This one's emotional. I've seen this one already.
So yesterday I made a video about Donghua Jinlong's
industrial strength glycine and how there is an identical kind of knockoff version. Full disclosure, it was Hu Beijing Fa, but it's been brought to my attention that it's not the same. And full accountability. I just want to take full accountability and tell you guys the ways in which it's not the same. So as far as production standards go, yes, it is up to standard.
She's
for
trying to
FCC,
take accountability,
USP,
which I appreciate
BP,
that.
EP, and JSFA, but it's not up to standard for E640. So the knockoff product, it was certified by ISO 9001, ISO 14001, ISO 45001. It's kosher, halal, reach, but it wasn't certified by ISO 22000, which I know that's a big one, and BRC.
No trigger warning before this. I'm sorry. Yeah, I should have.
I just wanted to take full accountability. And you know, I didn't want to seem like I was dirty deleting the video, so you can see the original video here, and thank you for your comment. And though the video is there, I did remove the link from the TikTok shop. And
we're not mocking women, Lodane. This is an important. Someone's like made a mistake. They made a mistake talking about food and industrial grade glycine products, and tried to suggest that there were other sources to get that besides the quality that you expect from the Donghua Jinglong Corporation. And she made a mistake. People held her accountable, and she's like apologizing. She's like, she's trying to make up for it. And I think that's something that we should celebrate.
I understand if like you guys don't trust me anymore and you don't want to follow me anymore, but I just wanted to take accountability. So thanks.
You know, all you can do is take accountability.
Guys, this Donghua Jinglong food grade glycine stuff, hilarious, by the way, keep it up. But we are dangerously close to...
This is breaking kayfabe. I don't want to break kayfabe on this.
Are you currently planning your pilgrimage to the Donghua Jinglong glycine factory in Shijiazhuang, Hebei, China?
After watching this, I unironically want to do that whole trip that he just planned. So I'm saving this video later for when I actually do make this trip.
Are you currently planning your pilgrimage to the Donghua...
I want to see this guy.
Are you currently planning your pilgrimage to the Donghua Jinglong glycine factory in Shijiazhuang, Hebei, China? Here are a few other attractions you shouldn't miss while you're in town. Shijiazhuang is a mid-sized, second-tier city in northern China. With just 11 million people living here, you're going to get a much more authentic experience than if you go to the big cities like Beijing or Shanghai. If you have the budget for it, I highly recommend getting a premium luxury hotel like this one for around $60. But if you're okay slumming it up in a local 4-star hotel like the Jinyuan Grand Hotel, you can have that for as little as $26, which is still way more than you would pay even for a luxury hotel in a rural area, but hey, location is everything.
It's got that small
now, when you're not
feel.
touring the glycine factories, there are plenty of other things to do. Start off your day with a quick dip into one of Shijiazhuang's many natural hot springs. After that, let's get some exercise in and hike around the scenic fortifications of Mount Baoduzhai. It's especially pretty if there's still some low-hanging morning fog out. If that doesn't strike your fancy, you can also check out some of the nearby temples of the historic Mount Zangyanshan. Need something a little more urbanized? Check out the famous stone villages like Yujiazun, the Yu family village. Still not urban enough? Walk a few blocks over to the nearest mall and enjoy shopping in this honestly kind of mid-Chinese mall that will still rival almost all the shopping experiences you've had in America.
That's it. It's the content that's taking over. It's taking over social media.
Experiences.
Content about Donghua Jinglong's high-quality industrial and pharmaceutical-grade glycine products.
Are you currently planning your pilgrimage?
Wow, Sam, this looks amazing, but can you pass me the glycine? I sure can, but this isn't any glycine. This is Donghua Jinglong's food-grade glycine. Donghua Jinglong sells food-grade glycine? I thought they only sold industrial-grade glycine. Well, you're in luck, because industrial-grade glycine creates a foul odor, and this food-grade glycine is great for soups, stews, and other dishes. Wow, thank you so much, Donghua Jinglong. Food-grade glycine without the industrial aftertaste. Wow, Sam, this looks amazing.
That's exciting. You know, that's exciting stuff.
Listen, I'm all for domestic production, but
there's so many of these videos.
These cheap imitators of Donghua Jinglong's industrial and food grade glycine. There is no better place to get industrial and food grade glycine than Donghua Jinglong. They've been doing it for years. They perfected their formula, and I don't even know why. Like, why are we trying to imitate art? They've figured it out. Okay, we know where we're getting our glycine from. Like, can we stop pretending that we can even come close to the quality of glycine that they produce? Listen, I'm all for...
It's true. I don't know what that is.
This is why Donghua Jinlong's food-grade glycine is the food-grade glycine choice for many. They were founded in 1979, specialized in the R&D and manufacturing of food-grade glycine. Donghua Jinlong is considered a top-tier food-grade glycine manufacturer in the industry and a long-term stable partner of many Fortune 500 companies. Certified by ISO 22000 and ISO 9001. They're also halal and kosher compliant. This is why Donghua Jinlong...
That's huge. Look, even the youth.
Guys, I'm starting to worry that the fine folks at Donghua Jinlong don't know how popular they are and don't know how much we yearn for merchandise. We're not all in the glycine market after all.
What's this guy?
Guys,
why is it?
Guys, I'm starting to worry that the...
Do you see on the screen that I'm not clicking on that? I'm clicking on the one next to it. Why are they so bad at this? Trying to find this guy's... Oh, here we go.
Donghua Jinlong's food grade glycine, Skibbity. Donghua Jinlong's industrial grade glycine, Sigma. Glycells seethe because Donghua Jinlong's glycine has WRIZ, and all other glycines have LRIZ. Donghua Jinlong has a level 5 GAT. Other glycine manufacturers, who shall not be named, don't have GATs at all. Donghua Jinlong opening up new factory in Ohio. Donghua Jinlong glycine used in grimace shakes. It's what gives them their grimace. Donghua Jinlong Big Chungus, Livy Dun Baby Gronk. Donghua Jinlong Dongguan Ji-goon. Donghua Ji-edge. Donghua Jinlong edging and gooning. For glycine. Think about that. Donghua Jinlong, Skibbity Sigma Riz.
Let this guy cook.
Jinlong, edging and gooning. Donghua Gel Goon, glycine. Donghua Jinlong's food grade glycine, Skibbity.
We got all that? We got what's this? It's spreading to Instagram too. Good. The movement grows. More social media needs to be aware of Donghua Jinlong's total superiority in their manufacturing of both food, industrial, and pharmaceutical grade glycine products. More people need to be aware of this.
E640 USP BPEP and JSFA production standards. Fear not, glycine girlies. Edge yourself down to Donghua Jinlong. As 2024's major glycine manufacturer, Donghua Jinlong is able to provide high-quality industrial-grade glycine from their premium factory on the glorious expressway that is Huagong Middle Road. With a whopping 31 patents under their belt, this supplier knows glycine. In fact, their entire neighborhood is filled to the brim with beautiful stroads and interchanges, so you can freely roll coal on your way to this premium source factory without running into a single NPC who has been brainwashed into thinking Ajinomoto Group's inferior food-grade glycine is a suitable alternative. You see, in 2024, if you have not unlocked Donghua Jinlong's high-quality industrial food-grade and new pharmaceutical glycine, you are at risk of being emasculated by a lower-quality non-ISO 450001 certified supplier.
We don't want
All
that.
my glycine-pilled queens know that the only choice is Donghua Jinlong. Since 1979, Donghua Jinlong has been the premier choice for all of your glycine needs.
Good. I'm glad we can all agree on that. I'm glad that we can all agree that Donghua Jinlong does manufacture the superior industrial grade, food grade, and pharmaceutical grade glycine. And if you want to, sure, go ahead and get your glycine from another manufacturer, I guess. I'm not going to tell you what to do, okay? I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. My point remains, though. If you have glycine needs, it doesn't make sense to me personally why you would go anywhere other than the top industry-leading manufacturer of industrial, food grade, and pharmaceutical grade glycine products. Do what you want. You know what I mean? Do what you want. I do reserve the right to judge you, though. I do reserve the right to judge you if you're getting your glycine from an inferior industrial food grade or pharmaceutical grade glycine manufacturer. It says something about you, I think, and what it says is not good. A Jinimoto shirt? Yeah, if you're a cuck, I guess. Yeah, go for it. Go for it, whatever. Anyway, I'm glad we're all on the same page about this. I will judge you for not buying high-quality industrial-grade glycine from Donghua Jinlong. Well, me too. Me too. So, now that we've gotten that out of the way. What are we doing now? Are we going to do anything serious today? I mean, obviously, of course, talking about the seriousness of where you get your food or industrial or pharmaceutical grade glycine products is serious and is important. I will not be being cucked by inferior industrial and food grade glycine suppliers that don't adhere to FCC, E640, USP, BP, EP, and JFSA production standards. Like, if someone is willing to do that, right? If someone is willing to be like, oh, I'm going to go get my glycine from a glycine manufacturer that doesn't adhere to FCC, E640, USP, BP, EP, and JFSA production standards, it's like, I can't help you. You know what I mean? I can't help you. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're beyond me helping you at that point. If it's very serious and if you're getting your pharmaceutical grade glycine from anywhere other than Donghua Jinlong, you should reevaluate your priorities. You got a lot of work to do on yourself. Okay? You got a lot of work to do. If your standards are moderate or lax, then like I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, Chase. I don't know what to tell you. Find God, you know? So once again, to everyone on TikTok right now, I'm live streaming on TikTok for the very first time ever. So if I somehow showed up on your TikTok For You page, please tap in, sound off in the chat. We're trying this new thing, this exciting new thing, live streaming both to Twitch and TikTok simultaneously. So welcome to all our wonderful new viewers and listeners and community members from TikTok. That's right, Catalepsy, yes. That's right. Big things happening here. What does that mean, Lodane? Rob is very, what is that eye thing? Sleepy? If that's the case, that is true. How many viewers over there? It says 614, but I don't know if that's concurrent or if it's total. I don't think that I have 614 people on TikTok watching at this moment. That would be cool if it was. I don't think that's the case. I see 6. Oh, good. Okay. That's not quite as exciting. That's not quite as exciting. I was there on TikTok for a while, but this is more my comfort level for stream watching. TikTok entices my short attention span. I want to scroll. That's the thing. I've never really watched a lot of TikTok live. When I'm on there, I want to be doing this. I gotta say, I really enjoy TikTok as a social media platform. I think one of my favorite things to do, one of my very favorite things to do in life right now is just lie down in my bed and scroll TikTok. It's so sick. It's just one of the coolest things you can do. Shilling Glycine brings the viewers. That's right. We should get a sponsorship. We should get an actual sponsorship from the Donghua Jinglang Industrial and Food Grade Glycine Manufacturing Corporation. Lying down is like 96% of the fun. Yeah, that part is good, I gotta say. I was so tired yesterday after the stream. I was just like so exhausted. I immediately just went and lay down and fell asleep for like 30 minutes. It was a quick nap. It was a power nap. Like 30 minutes. I really didn't used to be able to do that. I did not used to be able to nap like that. But now I'm just like so exhausted all the time. I can pretty much just like lie down at any time and grab a quick nap. I've accidentally sent random TikToks to friends from falling asleep in bed while on the app. Classic. I'm looking for a new glycine supplier. Well, that's look no further. Because you've discovered the absolute top of the industry, which is the Donghua Jinglang Industrial and Food Grade Glycine Manufacturer. Rob's giving 40-year-old vibes. Yes, he is. That is true. I must agree that I am doing that. So 10 years younger than he is, exactly. That's absolutely correct. I just bought a new Kami phone. It's a Xiaomi that should arrive on Monday. Do you think she will be personally spying on me? I hope so, if you're lucky. Now Lodane's on TikTok saying something nice. This is Lodane's strategy. I get bullied on Twitch, and then Lodane shows up over on TikTok and is like the duality. I get the praise on TikTok and I get the bullying on Twitch. I'm your top Canadian soldier. Well, as I've been saying, I mean, it's like that's why I don't. Not only do I not care if China's going to spy on me, I want them to. I want them to know I'm one of the good ones. I want them to be aware of all that stuff. Good cop, bad cop. It's just Lodane as both. That's right. Yeah. Oh. It's a gray, rainy day out the window right now. Not very nice. I thought it was getting to be like, it's getting to be warmer. It's getting to be like springtime weather, but it's very gray and miserable right now. Now people can have you on multiple screens at once. That's the good stuff. That's really the best way to be looking at the stream. If you've got the stream on like a laptop or a TV screen, and then you have a phone as well in stereo. That's always cool. So I don't know. Should we do something serious now? Would I got to about another hour and a half or so? Man, I don't even know if I want to talk about the Jack Perry stuff. Maybe that would have been best to leave up front. I'm so perplexed by why they thought that was a good idea. Yeah, I am blushing, Lodane. So what of it? What of it? More serious than Donghua Jinglong glycine. I know that's how you know how serious it is. Yeah, the CM Punk AEW Jack Perry thing is just bizarre. I just genuinely do not understand what the hell they're doing over there. Oh, Jay, will you stop this? Of course he's vindicated. He said exactly what happened, and then they were like, oh, how dare you say this? We're going to show this footage, which just shows exactly everything that happened, everything that he was saying. It's like it syncs up perfectly. Oh, Jay, he assaulted his coworker. It's a pro wrestling locker room, Jay. Please, come on now. People saying this, oh, he assaulted his coworker. Like there hasn't been little fights and scraps in every single pro wrestling locker room as long as it's existed, and in every single other sport. Anytime there's brawls and spats and arguments and fights in NBA locker rooms and NHL and NFL. I don't think he's in the wrong. I think Jack Perry was in the wrong. What's Jack Perry doing going on pay-per-view and trying to start some shit? And why is Tony Khan getting rid of the biggest star in his company over this minor incident? Because of Jungle Boy Jack Perry. It's not crazy. It's crazy that it's your opinion, Jay. It's crazy that it's your opinion. Your hatred, your blind hatred of CM Punk, which I don't even want to begin to try and understand. refuses. It does not allow you to see just the basic reality and the truth of the situation. It's very sad, very unfortunate. Putting a guy in a little headlock in the locker room after he called you out on TV and tried to do some like weird like internet red meat to like all these like online fans. And he gets put in a headlock for like 5 seconds. Oh no! What a terrible controversy! You got to fire this guy. Get this guy out of here. Not someone being put in a headlock for 5 seconds at a backstage of a pro wrestling show. Oh my. When Bruiser Brody got stabbed in the locker, it was just a scuffle, but that wasn't just a scuffle. That was someone being stabbed. This was someone being put in a headlock for like 5 seconds. Anyway. Let's not argue. We don't need to argue. We're all friends here. We don't need to argue about this. I thought it was pretty silly, though. I'm not saying Punk should get charged. He's just not the aggrieved party. I would say yes, he is, because it wasn't just that. It was a series of things. It's like a series of incidents of people in this company, like deliberately undermining him and like spreading rumors about him, going off script when they're supposed to be doing promos. No, Jay, I'm sorry. You're a valued member of the community. I'm not with you on this, though. I'm not with you on this. But we can agree to disagree. How about that? Let's not work ourselves into a shoot on here. We can agree to disagree. Okay, well, if we're going to pivot to talking about something serious, there's this kind of talk right now about this like Iranian counterattack against Israel. No dissension. Can I interrupt for a second? Point out I spent 3 pennies to hear gang, ice cream so good, gang. Okay, it's really the GG and the ice cream. Okay, sorry. I don't see it on the screen. I don't get the alerts. Gang. Ice cream, so good. Gang. How about that, Lodain? Is that good? So we can watch this video. There's all kinds of talk about, Iran, whether they're going to respond to their embassy being bombed and their people being killed in this attack in Syria. I know you have the U.S. kind of saying there's an attack imminent, but like I don't necessarily trust that either. I did see news that they were like suspending flights in Tehran. So there's a lot of speculation that there's going to be some kind of actual attack. There's I think ample reason to doubt that and to be suspicious and kind of skeptical about that. But there is this video here from Electronic Intifada about why Iran supports Palestine, so maybe that could be something for us to take a look at. And please, if you can, folks, please subscribe to this program before I move on to this next segment. If possible, we're 22 subs away from the goal. Really, really trying to hit these targets each and every day. So if you can, please subscribe to TRRS. Please help keep this show on the air. I love doing this show. I love logging in here and doing this show each and every day and hanging out with you folks. But the only way that I'm able to keep doing that every day is if the little number goes up. You know how it works. You know how this website works. It's the only way that I'm able to keep doing the show is if people subscribe. 22 subs to go. If you can, please subscribe, give subs or tips, bits, or little GGs or ice creams or hot dogs or whatever it is on TikTok. Whatever that is. But please do subscribe if you can. Just gonna wait for those to roll in. Should be any moment now. I really hope someone just logs in for the first time now on TikTok or wherever, and this is all it is. And like, what the hell is this? Why is anyone looking at this? It'd be even funnier if the first thing we see is Knife Rob, the classic character. The classic character of Knife Rob that everyone loves. Apple review. This is a pink lady. This is a pink lady apple. The taste is good. It's got a nice sweetness, you know.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
As you all know, I do sometimes love wrapping my lips around a pink lady. Lodane, thank you very much for gifting us up. It's a little mealy. It's a little mealy. It's not quite as crispy and crunchy as I would like. It's not so much that it's unpleasant. But not the exact texture that I'm usually looking for. I've been enjoying some Nicoter apples lately. I can't say I'm familiar with those apples, James. And Crystal sent a little heart. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, what I'm supposed to do, but thank you, Crystal. My girlfriend has me on Granny Smith. Interesting. I haven't had one of those in quite a long time. Those are the green ones, right? Those are green. Those can be nice. More tart, isn't it? More tart, the Granny Smith. Anyway, folks, before I move on here, Still 21 subs to go.
You can count on me.
Look at that.
You're
There
going
we
to have
go.
good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Number go up.
Thank you, Quaker Oats Guy, for the 30 months of Tier 1. I appreciate it. And once again, folks, before we move on, 20 subs to go. If you can, please do support this stream and this community and the work that I do right here on twitch.tv and TikTok. Please support, if you can, by subscribing or gifting subs. Once again, it's the only way I'm able to keep doing this show each and every day. Come on, don't you want to subscribe to this guy? Look at this face.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Dermetheus, thanks so much for the 5 gifted subs. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Dermetheus.
You
very,
can count
very
on
kind
me.
of you.
You're gonna have good
Very
old
generous.
Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Nace Zero, as well, for the 19 months of Tier 1. Thank you, Nace. And thanks, Flipcoin, as well, for the 100 bits. I appreciate that. Nice face. Thank you. See, sometimes I get locked into these battle of wills. I think as a streamer, if you commit to that, if you say, someone should subscribe, look at this face. You can't just do it for 5 seconds and then go back to just doing what you were doing, right? Then you're in a contest. Then you're in a battle of wills. Who's going to break first? You know? I was getting close. I was approaching the level where I was like, I got to start doing something. But I'm happy that people support the work that I do right here on twitch.tv. And TikTok as well. Crystal, that's right. It's prime Rob content. People on TikTok are going nuts for this bit. People on TikTok are just going nuts. They can't believe how hilarious this show is. And while simultaneously being educational and subversive. That's the beauty of it. And he just heard voice, subscribe. If I could control and manipulate with the Benny Jesuit voice, I would do it. My version of the voice is just my own voice. It's like, hello, it's me, it's Rob. People have often said that I have a soothing voice when I do podcasting and live streaming. That's my version of the voice. Please subscribe. We have a hype train. Don't you want to support this show? Do you know that the only way that I'm able to keep doing this show each and every day is if people continue to subscribe to the program? It's the only way that I can do it. And right now, folks, we're 84% of the way through level 2 of this hype train. One more sub or gifted sub would allow us to ascend to the next level of this hype train, giving us access to very special hype train emotes from Twitch. Not only will you get the emotes from this program, some of the very best tiny little images. But also, if you subscribe right now, we'll get to level 3 of this hype train and get access to even more tiny little images. Compliments of Twitch.tv. Lodain sending me J's. I don't know how I'm supposed to react to the J's. And Crystal gave a tiny lizard. TikTok symbol. Oh, jeez, it's hard to see. It's hard to see in my chat that I have here. I'm sorry. It's tricky. Looks like a J. Lighting up a J. There we go. Super. We love to see it. Love to see it and hear it.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Flipcoin, thanks for another 100 bits. 30 seconds away, folks. Almost through level... so close. 88% of the way through level 2. One more sub or gifted sub is going to get us to the next level. One measly sub is going to get us to the next level. Isn't that exciting? Aren't you excited? I know I am. Look at my face. Look how excited I am. Whatever, man. Here's what American media is saying.
U.S. officials predict a significant Iranian attack on American or Israeli assets in the Middle East as soon as this week. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says America is ready to defend its assets. Iran is angry about Israel's strike on its consulate in Syria last week. The Biden administration says if Iran attacks Israel rather directly, it almost guarantees a regional conflict. Joining us now, Congressman Darren LaHood, Republican.
Here's one thing I'm curious about. Let's take bets on this. In this piece, are they going to mention at all in this interview, in the next 6 minutes, are they going to mention that Israel bombed the Iranian embassy? Is that information going to be included in this news report? Let's see. Does Iran have a right to defend itself? It's a good question. Why is there only one nation, only one country in this region that has this perpetual, endless right to defend itself, and others don't? Israel bombs an embassy is what starts the regional conflict, not the response. Israel not only doing genocide to the people in Gaza, but bombing Lebanon, bombing Syria, and not bombing Iran unless you count that ISIS attack, that independent, non-Mossad, non-CIA ISIS attack, but assassinating Iranian nationals elsewhere. I think that's what's starting the regional conflict, not Iran responding to that. They keep saying for Iran to ease tensions. Yeah, who's inflaming these tensions? How are these tensions getting so inflamed? What a mystery. It's just a total mystery.
Peoria. He's on the Ways and Means Committee, the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, and the House's Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Congressman.
He's on the Intelligence Committee, the Committee of the Chinese Communist Party, and I'm sure this man would try to tell you to get your industrial grade or food grade glycine at some shitty American manufactured glycine company, when, as we know, the very tip top of the industry standard, the gold standard, is Donghua Jinglong's food and industrial grade high quality glycine products.
Thank you for joining us.
Good to be with you.
Let's start
the mystery
this
of the
morning.
DPRK testing missiles for no reason. Exactly. They're just doing it just because. They're just evil. They're just the evil regime, and that's why they do this stuff. Don't we do like military exercises directly on their border? Haven't we been aiming missiles at them for the last like 80 years? We don't want to hear about that.
With that warning, Newsweek just penned U.S. troops face constant threat. Well, the U.S. has remained firm on saying our military was not involved in the airstrike on Iran's embassy in Syria. Officials still think American assets are under significant threat. This is Gaza.
They did mention the airstrike.
Ongoing, seemingly a growing issue for America. Well, what can you tell us about this?
Well, first of all, I will tell you this. As it relates to Iran, they're a state sponsor of terrorism. They cannot be trusted. If you look at their malign activities throughout the Middle East, remember, just a little over 2 months ago, we had 3 U.S. soldiers on the Jordanian-Syrian border that were murdered by Iranian proxies. So their proxies in Iraq, their proxies in Syria, their support for Hezbollah in Beirut and southern Lebanon, and of course, their blatant support for Hamas and the Houthis, is rampant. And so we need to be
So they're protecting and defending human
vigilant
rights.
in terms of doing everything we can to stop the authoritarian regime that is Iran and the terrorist actors that remain in Iran. And they're the genesis for much of this, of much of the problems in the Middle East. And listen, I have a lot of faith in our intelligence services and our military throughout the region, but they cannot be trusted. And what I worry about is the Biden administration continues to try to negotiate with them.
Pro-Iran
try
Biden
to work. They
administration.
worked on the nuclear pact with them. I don't think that's the right approach. They have not shown any ability to play by the same set of rules and standards that everybody else in the world does.
That's amazing because they negotiated that Iran deal, and they did. They were following the exact terms of the deal that they very carefully negotiated with the United States of America. And it was the USA that broke that deal. Iran was in full compliance with that deal. And the USA just completely arbitrarily walked away from it.
Okay, duly noted. To China, Secretary of the Treasury, I believe, Jennifer Yellen, is in China right now. This as China continues to build
Isn't it
its
Janet
navy.
Yellen? You don't even know the name of the people? Unless I'm mistaken. I don't think I am, though. But her quotes from China were really interesting, too. She's like, China is like, this is the double talk coming out of like U.S. officials right now. They're like, so we're in a climate crisis, right? We're trying to transition to electric vehicles, green technology, sustainable energy, and she's like, China is like, they're putting out too many cheap products. They're cheating. They're putting out too many cheap products. They're flooding the zone with cheap products. Isn't that what we want? Don't we want that? It's not fair. Are we in a climate crisis or are we not? Shouldn't we want green and sustainable energy technology to be cheaper? From EVs to, batteries, solar panels, that stuff. We want that to be cheaper, don't we? No, they're cheating. They're cheating. They're not charging enough. Like, it's crazy to me that it's like our whole climate policy is like EVs. That's all. No infrastructure, no transit, no real meaningful effort to transition away from fossil fuels. Just EVs. That's our whole strategy. And then it's like, well, can we import cheap Chinese EVs if we're not getting any transit and we need electric vehicles? Why can't we import Chinese EVs? And they're like, no, that would cut into the profits of Elon Musk. We can't do that. It's like, okay, great.
Which has been and seen as a threat to just about everyone. Now there seems to be growing support for, potentially a U.S. TikTok ban, Chinese-owned TikTok, this over security concerns, government-owned basically. China's talked about a lot.
Government-owned basically? No, it's not. It's like, you can say that. That doesn't make that doesn't make it true, though. Government-owned basically. It's like, it's literally not. It's literally not government-owned. Why is he saying this thing so weirdly? I have no idea, Super. I'm not sure. Yeah, wait till all newly sold vehicles have to be EVs that nobody can afford. And with any luck, we won't have infrastructure, like charging infrastructure either. Let's do all of those things. Let's make it only EVs that no one can afford and not have any charging infrastructure. Let's do both of those.
But they don't seem to be overt, like Russia invading other countries, a leader killing his rivals openly. Which country concerns you more right now, short-term and long-term, China or Russia?
Well, it's definitely China. I serve on our select committee on China, which is a bipartisan committee that was set up specifically to do two things. One, expose the malign activities of the CCP, the Communist Chinese Party, but secondarily, figure out how do you win the strategic competition against China. And I think you do that on the economic front. But make no mistake about it, China has a plan to replace the United States. They want to replace us technologically, militarily, economically, and diplomatically. And they're working at it every single day. Now, they may not be overt, as you mentioned.
Can we speed this up,
but they're
actually?
doing it in many different ways. They're doing it related to their espionage, related to their stealing of intellectual property. They're doing it on things like producing the precursors of fentanyl that go to Mexico and then come to the United States. Right. So these are all things that we have been focused on and need to continue to be focused on. And again, I don't think the CCP, the Communist Chinese Party, can be trusted.
That's not what it's called, dude.
The problem, of course, is we have a strong economic relationship with them. We have the two largest economies in the world. We are intertwined at
They're
every...
selling chemicals. Exactly. China is rising to that level because they're kicking America's ass in manufacturing things such as industrial and food-grade high-quality glycine, like what is made by the Donghua Jinglong Food and Industrial-Grade High-Quality Glycine Corporation.
level. So different than winning the Cold War against Russia, where we didn't have an economic relationship, we do with China. And that's the dilemma that we are in many ways, is how do you find that balance, holding them accountable? The last thing that I will say is China plays by a different set of rules and standards than every other industrialized country in the world.
Oh, yeah, that's rich. They play by different rules. We follow the rules as we're supporting mass murder and ethnic cleansing. Oh, they don't play by the rules. These people are so dumb, these people. They're just stupid. They're stupid people.
They cheat, they lie, they've been deceitful in many different ways. That's not just the U.S. saying that. That's other allies in the region and in Europe saying that.
Yeah, it's all our vassal states as well. All our client. Not only are we saying it, but all of our client states are saying the same thing. Americans, America, oh, they lie and they cheat and they steal. Yeah, a fucking United States of America. God damn. Anyway, I don't know if I have time to watch this entire... I have a little less than an hour. But let's watch this clip with Ali Abunimah and Mohammed Marandi about this topic of why Iran supports Palestine. Should be interesting stuff. I'll try to get through as much as I can.
Ali Abu Ni'mah, and this is the Electronic Intifada podcast. I'm really pleased to be joined today by Dr. Mohammed Marandi. Dr. Marandi is a professor of English literature and Orientalism at the University of Tehran. Welcome, Dr. Marandi.
Thank you very much for having me, Ali.
So China's the
I've
Eddie
had the
Guerrero of
pleasure
the
of
world.
seeing you many times on such outlets as the BBC and CNN, skillfully pushing back against Western propaganda, and you never fail to impress with your command of the facts and analytical insight. So I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
You're very kind. Thank you.
So on Monday, a presumed Israeli airstrike hit the Iranian consulate in Damascus, killing at least a dozen people, including two senior Iranian officers, General Mohammad Reza Zahedi and his deputy, General Mohammad Hadi Hajrahimi. This brazen attack on the diplomatic mission has been condemned even by such staunch Israeli allies and adversaries of Iran as the European Union. Why do you think Israel carried out this attack, and what role did the two generals play in the regional resistance to Israel?
I really don't understand why the regime took such a step. I think it was a major miscalculation because until now, the Iranians have not responded directly for a number of
Try to
reasons.
speed this up just a bit.
I think that over the years, the Iranians did not respond because Iran had a long-term plan for the whole region. They were helping the resistance in Gaza develop their tunnels and their defense capabilities in Lebanon, in Yemen, in Iraq, and Syria, something which we knew was happening, but I didn't know that it would be so extensive and so well planned. So I think over the years, the Iranians were holding back because they had a much bigger project, and that was, as I said, strengthening the resistance axis. Over the past few months, the Iranians, again, when the Israeli regime would carry out airstrikes, and on a number of occasions, they martyred a number of Iranian officers in Syria. The Iranians, again, did not respond, or they didn't respond directly because they wanted the focus to remain on Gaza. They wanted they didn't want the Israeli regime to be able to change the narrative and to draw attention away from the genocide, or what many, including the Brazilian president, would compare to the Holocaust during the Second World War. So that, I think, was the main reason why the Iranians held back, both over the past few years, but also during the past few months. But in this particular case, it's different. And the very fact that this airstrike was against an attack on Iranian sovereignty made it necessary for the Iranians to respond. And of course, the officers who were murdered, they were working to support the resistance. I think by now everyone knows that Damascus has always played and continues to play a key role in supporting the resistance, both Hezbollah, but also the Palestinian resistance movements. And Iran, these officers played a key role in coordinating and helping Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah to be able to defend themselves against this brutal, genocidal, and barbaric regime. So these men played a very important role, but I don't believe that by murdering them, the Israelis have scored any real success, because there are others who will replace them. The support for Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Ansarullah, the Yemeni armed forces, Hezbollah, and the resistance, that will continue. But what has happened is that the Israeli regime has provided Iran with a very good excuse to strike back. And as I said, while Iran did not want to directly strike the regime because of its, as I said earlier, because of its long-term project, and more recently because they wanted to keep the focus on Gaza, but they've gone too far, and this, I think, we'll see the regime pay a price.
And as we're speaking, Iran has said it will respond. That response has not come yet, at least not that we can see. And perhaps by the time people are watching this interview, we'll know what it may be. I want to come back to some of the points you made about the resistance and Iran's role in supporting it. Before we get to that, yesterday, as we're speaking, marked Quds Day, and that's an annual day of solidarity with Palestine established by Ayatollah Khomeini after the Iranian revolution, the Islamic Revolution. And marking Quds Day this year, some of the most prominent leaders of the resistance axis, as it's called, gave speeches at what I believe was an unprecedented online conference hosted by Yemen's Ansarullah movement. And the speakers, of course, included Ansarullah leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi, Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, and Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh. Did you watch the conference, and what do you think the overall message of this? What should we take away from it?
I had an
Was that the one where there was a certain other speaker
go
as
to
well?
the conference hall where people were sitting and watching, but unfortunately, I had a different commitment. It's Ramadan, and in Iran there are many things going on simultaneously, so I couldn't participate. But I read the summary of what the Iranian president said and what the other three gentlemen said. I think it was sending a message that this is a united front. This is a single, let's say, not an organization, but a single gathering of allies where they all have similar agendas, and they all have the determination to support one another. And in this case, of course, the top priority is to support the people of Palestine. Ansarullah in Yemen, from the very beginning, they stated very clearly that the reason why they're blocking ships traveling to and from Israeli ports is because of the genocide. They were implementing the Genocide Convention. And when the Americans and the British started attacking Yemen in response, they started blocking American and British ships too. So this has everything to do about genocide and nothing to do about self-interest, because Ansarullah and Yemen are paying a price. They've experienced a decade of genocide with Western support, and they know quite well what sort of price they have to pay to support Gaza, but they were determined to do so. The same is true with Hezbollah. Hezbollah has given many martyrs over the past few months, over 250, maybe close to 270 martyrs. And of course, a large number of civilians, maybe 100 more, were also killed during this period, Lebanese civilians. So, and for a small country like Lebanon, that is a very significant number. So Hezbollah is also sacrificing for the sake of Hamas and its allies, Islamic Jihad and others. And of course, the resistance in Iraq and Syria are doing the same. So
I think
this gathering of resistance leaders is just making this point more clear to the West, that we are all in this together. We are all one. We are a united force. The resistance is not just Iran. It's not just Gaza. It's not just the West Bank or Lebanon. It's all of these entities combined. And I think that the Americans and the Europeans have been quite shocked. Right now, we've seen that the Americans are beginning to understand that they cannot win in the Red Sea. The Israeli regime has seen that it has been defeated by the resistance in Gaza. In the north, they are facing crisis. Wherever we look, the Israeli regime is in trouble, and the Americans are in trouble too, because the Americans know that if they get involved directly, they will be hammered in Iraq and Syria. The resistance in Iraq has already shown the Americans a bit of what they can do. But if the Americans get involved directly, then I think the United States would lose everything in Iraq and Syria. And that would, of course, be devastating. So the regime has already been defeated. And I think that its defeat will only get worse as we move forward. And if they expand the war, it will only make things worse. The regime wants to find a path to victory, or at least a path that can save it from defeat. But any path that I can see will only make the defeat worse and more costly. In fact, I believe that if we put aside the genocide, if we exclude that fact, we all want an immediate ceasefire because we want to stop the genocide, because we want to stop the Western-backed slaughter of women and children. However, if we put that aside for a moment, the side that really needs a ceasefire is the Israeli regime. The longer this war lasts, the more humiliating it is, because they haven't been able to take a small piece of land. We have to always keep in mind, Gaza is a very small piece of land. This is the same Israeli regime that in the past took the
All they know how
Sinai,
to do
took
is
the West
kill
Bank,
kids.
it took the Golan Heights. When it invaded Lebanon, it went to Beirut within days. Today it cannot even take Gaza. So this is a humiliating defeat for the regime. But in addition to that, because of the genocide, and I think the genocide itself is worse than anything else for the regime, it has turned the world against it. Even in the West, as you know much better than I, things are changing. I never thought I'd see the day when public opinion in the United States and North America and Europe would evolve in the way it is evolving now. The longer this war lasts, the worse it becomes for the regime, the more illegitimate it becomes in the eyes of global public opinion. It was always illegitimate in the eyes of those of us who are following the issue of Palestine more closely. But now the world is seeing the regime for what it really is. And in addition to that, the antagonism towards this genocidal regime becomes more entrenched because the longer it lasts, the more cemented this view of the regime becomes. So they need a ceasefire more than anyone else. But because of their arrogance and because of their ethno-supremacism and because of Eurocentrism and American exceptionalism, these entities, the West, Israel, they simply cannot accept reality. They cannot accept the fact that they have been soundly defeated by these natives, and that no matter what they do, they cannot reverse this defeat.
And you and I share your analysis in terms of if we don't count mass murder as a success, then Israel, which of course we can't and mustn't, then Israel has nothing to show for 6 months of its savagery in Gaza. And you make the case that they need a ceasefire that they cannot bring themselves to accept. But there's another view and maybe not a contradictory view, that the brazen attack on the Iranian diplomatic mission in Damascus and the murder of 2 senior generals is an attempt by Israel to spark a wider regional conflagration and possibly to pull the United States into
It's so hard not to get that impression.
Confrontation with Iran. Do you agree with that?
Ali, you know about how the Western elites and Western regimes have always viewed West Asia, North Africa, the whole of the global South, even Russians, as being irrational, as being illogical, as being emotional. But I think in truth, we are seeing an enormous amount of irrational behavior among these Western elites. What they are doing, what the Israeli regime is doing today, is detrimental to its own interests. It is destroying itself. The regime is, in my opinion, this regime is not going to last. I don't know if it will end in 2 years or in 10 years, but this regime is on the decline. It won't last because of the genocide, more than even the defeat. I think the genocide itself is the greatest defeat for the regime because that's what's made it so hated across the world. But so that may be the objective, that they want to draw Iran into the war and thus expand it. But this is not going to help the regime. This is not going to help them
they're screwed.
Win the war. So, and when you put this alongside their irrational behavior just over the past few days, what they did in the Al-Shifa hospital, beyond the fact that it was barbaric and it was as evil as anyone can imagine, they only further destroyed themselves in the eyes of the world. Simultaneously, they went and struck an Iranian embassy, thus and also further diminishing their credibility across the world. Forget the West. In China and Russia and elsewhere, the world is condemning this. In the West, it's more nuanced, and in the Security Council, the Western powers refused to condemn it. But across the world, it was condemned. And then, I'm sorry for interrupting, and then in addition to that, on the same day, the withdrawal from the hospital, the murder of the Iranians in the embassy and the consulate, but also the murder of the aid workers who were a part of an organization that is extraordinarily close to the United States. these are demolishing the regime. So you may be correct. The objective of the regime may be to expand the war.
A Silver Age.
But it is their assessment or their calculations, I think, are not based on rational thought. They are being irrational, emotional, and that is only going to hurt them. Because let us assume the war is expanded. First of all, the Iranians are going to respond. So the Israelis are going to face humiliation because they're going to be hit by a power and there's nothing that they can do about it. The most important power in West Asia, arguably. Then what happens? The Israelis strike back at Iran again, then the Iranians will strike back. If, let's say, the Israelis cannot win a war against Iran, they would be on the losing end of these exchanges. So their only hope would be for the Americans to come in. But if the Americans come in, what happens?
In one sec, folks.
Who is more vulnerable? Who has the most to lose? American bases exist across the Persian Gulf. Those countries that host American bases, those family dictatorships that host these bases, if the Americans attack Iran, they will all be seen as complicit. They cannot host bases and allow and the Americans attack Iran and then they stand aside and say it's none of our business. They will pay the price. The Americans will pay the price in Iraq. The Americans will pay the price in Syria. What will happen to the global economy if we see key infrastructure in the Persian Gulf destroyed, oil production destroyed? What will happen to the global economy? This is not something that the United States can afford. No one will win. There is a balance of terror. You recall, since you and I think, are a bit older, during the Cold War, there was a balance of terror between the United States and the Soviet Union because both had nuclear weapons and they could destroy one another. So because of that terror that would arise, that existed because of nuclear weapons, the two sides refrained from using them. In the Persian Gulf, there's a balance of terror. The Americans can hit Iran without a doubt, but the Americans are very vulnerable. And there's nothing that they cannot stop the Iranians. So there is a balance of terror because the global economy will come crashing down if there's a conflict between Iran and the United States. And the biggest loser would be the United States because by far they have the most to lose. So I don't think that if the war expands, the Israelis will come out on top. And I think, I have no doubt that they won't. And I think it will only detach Western public opinion further from the regime, even as it is already moving away, as we're seeing in the polling in the United States, in Europe. We're seeing how Israel is the regime is losing its standing in the West. If the West makes a larger sacrifice, if its economies start crashing down, I think that that would be the end of Israel.
Let's talk a bit more about the situation in the Persian Gulf and the broader region. But since you mentioned the family dictatorships in the region, for decades now, the United States has been trying to corral its regional clients into what I would call an unholy alliance with Israel on the pretext that this is necessary to confront a supposed threat from Iran. And that was really the basis for the so-called Abraham Accords under the Trump administration, in which the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain, for example, established formal ties with the apartheid regime in Tel Aviv. The big prize, of course, was always supposed to be a Saudi-Israeli normalization deal. And although they have, strong public flirtations, let's say, and secret ties that go back many decades, the formal normalization has not happened yet, even though many expected it to happen. Instead, what happened just over a year ago is that Saudi Arabia and Iran surprised the world by reestablishing diplomatic relations and agreeing to resolve their disagreements through dialogue and diplomacy. Significantly, as a sign of the shifting world order, this deal was brokered by China. Talk to us about the background to this important development. And 1 year later, what is the status of Saudi-Iranian relations? Has there been any kind of fundamental transformation because of this agreement?
Well, I'm sure you recall over 4 years ago when General Soleimani
Can you imagine how much there's panic in Washington, D.C. about Saudi Arabia, Iran, Russia, and China all starting to work together? Like, this is like This is like worst case scenario, Kill Bill sirens going off, and including other places like Venezuela as well. Like they've got to be absolutely freaking the fuck out over this. Like, yeah, panic to the core. Like this is a real threat to hegemony. Like, right, the US can still survive in a world where Russia's powerful and China's powerful. Iran is like an important regional player. You know, but when they all start talking to one another and working together, it is. Yeah, I think I was reading about this HTA. I think that's the nightmare scenario in Brzezinski's global chessboard. It's the nightmare scenario for the U.S. and it's playing out now. Reason that gunboat diplomacy is getting replaced. Yeah, there's another way of doing things. Who knew? Who knew? There's another way of doing things. Luckily, we have Brandon to steer the ship. Exactly. That's a beautiful thing about American democracy. You can choose between Brandon and Donald Trump. I'm sure either one of those guys is really going to get things back on track for the good old US of A. Hey Rob, good day. Walking in front of the Twitch HQ in San Francisco on my way to work. Always wanted to pop in. Should I? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. And you should yell at somebody there to give me a better revenue split while you're there. Just start yelling in someone's face about it. You mean you can shovel your neighbor's sidewalk instead of set their house on fire? What? Crazy. I mean, these other countries must look at who's going to be president in 2024 and think I'm getting away from this nonsense. Yeah, we're getting off the sinking ship. Again, it's an empire with the stench of decline, the stench of decay. It's swirling the drain. Like, yeah, I'm jumping off this. Yes, I'm here to see Mr. Bezos about Rob Slubs. Thank you. Excellent.
Qasem Soleimani was murdered by Trump and the Americans. He was on his way to see the Iraqi.
Nice try, Dr. Maggot.
He traveled from Syria to Baghdad. He was at the Baghdad International Airport, leaving the airport because hours later.
It's going down the toilet much faster than I would have thought even possible even 5 years ago. I mean, not HTA, like since we've been doing this show, going on 4 years, like there's been this seismic shift just since the time I started doing this show and now. It's been crazy. And this has been like the main storyline we've been watching play out now for multiple years on this program. It's incredible.
Later, he was supposed to see the prime minister, I think, at 8 in the morning. Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi at that time. So the Saudis had sent a message to the Iraqis about rapprochement. And General Soleimani went to Iraq to go and visit the prime minister and discuss rapprochement with the Saudis. And of course, the Americans knew this because the Americans had infiltrated all parts of the Iraqi state. So part of the reason why the Americans, at least one reason why they murdered General Soleimani, was because they wanted to prevent rapprochement between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Now, since then, the Iranians and the Saudis had a series of negotiations and in different countries, but there was a sticking point that prevented the two countries from reopening their embassy. And that was that the Saudis wanted Iran to negotiate on behalf of Ansarullah, the effectively the government in Yemen, because they control the capital. They 70 to 80% of the population lives under the area controlled by Ansarullah. So they are effectively the government in Yemen. The Saudis wanted the Iranians to negotiate on their behalf. But the Iranians said, we won't negotiate. You have to negotiate with them directly. It is not our business to cut a deal on anyone else's behalf. And this is an important point because the West and some of their regional proxies, they like to say that Ansarullah or Hezbollah or Hamas or Islamic Jihad, these are Iranian proxies. And that I believe is one reason why they always miscalculate.
That's how they dismiss everything, right? And they often, I think, play up Iran's influence over these groups way more than they actually have. In the exact same way that the people that were fighting the Kiev regime in the Donbass, you just dismiss those as being Russian proxies. and then you can just continue to arm and fund the civil war against them because they're just Russian proxies. But it really does, I think, it suggests that either Russia or Iran have some kind of full control over these groups that is not always the case.
Because proxies are like mercenaries. If you cut their funding, they collapse. But these are Iranian allies. And their worldview is similar to that of Iran. They're anti-colonial, they're anti-imperial, they're anti-hegemonic, they oppose Western hegemony, and they support the liberation of Palestine. So Iran said we cannot negotiate on behalf of Ansarullah, and that remained a sticking point. Then later, when the Chinese President Xi, went to Saudi Arabia, the Saudis asked him to mediate. Soon after that, the Iranian president was to travel to China, and before his trip, the Chinese sent a message to him asking if Iran would be willing for the Chinese to mediate. And the Iranian president, during his talks in China, said that we support the initiative. So after that, the Iranians and the Saudis sent delegations to China and negotiated in Beijing, and the Saudis removed that precondition about Yemen, and ties were restored. And since then, I think the Iranian president and Mohammed bin Salman, they had 2 phone conversations, and they also met in Jeddah during the conference where the heads of state of the Islamic world came together to discuss Gaza, and of course nothing came out of it. But the point is that relations between the two countries are much better now. Now, it's not as if the relationship is ideal. There's not much economic trade going on between the two. Things are happening, but not that rapidly. And of course, Iran's position on Palestine is unique. Iran does not believe in the two-state solution. Iran, from the beginning, before the revolution, the revolutionaries led by Ayatollah Khomeini, Imam Khomeini, they believed there were 2 global issues that were very important for them. One was South Africa, and the other was Palestine. And in both cases, they believed that these apartheid regimes must come to an end. So immediately after the revolution, Iran broke off ties with South Africa and with Israel. And Iran began to support the resistance movements in South Africa and in Palestine. So the PLO and Yasser Arafat and other groups began to receive funding and support from Iran. And then later on, as Hamas grew and Islamic Jihad grew, they and other groups were supported. And the same was true in South Africa. The ANC, the Pan-African Congress, and other groups were supported by Iran. The military wing of the ANC
Nice, Barkley. That sounds so cool.
Funded by Iran. And of course, when the South African regime collapsed, the Iranians established diplomatic ties. And Nelson Mandela, one of the first things that he did was he traveled to Iran and other countries that supported the people of South Africa. So the Iranian position on Palestine is different from that of Saudi Arabia. And of course, Saudi Arabia, as you know, has major differences with Hamas and the resistance movements in Palestine. So I don't think that there's much coordination there between the two, but the more the Saudi Arabian state can be drawn away from the American camp, the better I think it is for Saudi Arabia, but also I think the better it is for the region and for the Palestinian people. But what I would like to point out is that the problem, the United States, let us assume that they do succeed in normalizing ties between Saudi Arabia and Israel. I don't think that that's going to change anything. Saudi Arabia cannot bring back legitimacy to Israel. Israel is damaged goods. Israel is not the Israel that people perceived it to be before. In the past, many thought that Israel was this undefeatable regime, high tech. They knew exactly what was going on. Their intelligence gathering was second to none. Their military was invincible. Now they're a diminished regime. They're unpopular across the world. They're despised. The regime is despised. Its intelligence gathering has been exposed as deeply flawed, to say the least. Its military capability has been exposed as weak and inadequate. The regime has shown itself to be utterly hypocritical and, more importantly, barbaric and inhumane. So who would benefit by normalizing ties with the regime? It would only make things worse for Saudi Arabia now. Anyone who touches the regime would lose credibility in the eyes of its own public. I believe that the Emirates regrets what it has done in the past, but it cannot reverse it because it would look bad for the regime. But if I have no doubt, even though the Emirates is a police state, if you ask people and people are able to express themselves in the United Arab Emirates, they would say we want to wreck the relationship with the regime. The same is true in Saudi Arabia. The same is true in across the Persian Gulf region and beyond. And as we speak, those regimes that are complicit, they're losing credibility. Look at Turkey. Erdogan was funding ISIS and Al-Qaeda and demolishing Syria. He was prepared to do anything to take Damascus. But when it comes to Gaza, he does nothing. His trade, he continues to do trade with the regime. Part of the reason why he lost the election was because of Gaza. There are other reasons. I don't want to,
But that's certainly one analysis that his party lost votes to a relatively new Islamist party that was calling for the complete cutoff of ties with Israel, something that Turkey unfortunately hasn't done. I want to ask you, again, touching on some of the points you raised, any one of us who lives in the West, and sadly, this is true in many Arab countries as well, is subjected to constant propaganda, often seeped in open sectarianism, claiming that Iran is an aggressive country that aims to take over the region, spread Shia Islam, and undermine the existing order. And in fact, just in
take over the region
days, in the context
from its rightful owner,
enormous
the United States of
protests
America
in Jordan, in solidarity with...
How dare Iran want to have influence in the Middle East when shouldn't they know that that's the sovereign territory of the US of A? Really aggressive and hostile.
People in Palestine, we've heard voices close to the authorities there claiming that these huge protests and rallies serve foreign interests, and with hints at Iran. And we even hear such things from people close to the Palestinian Authority and across the region. I just want to give you a chance to respond to that, because it's such a pervasive theme in so much of what we hear. Is Iran a menace to the region? Is it trying to impose the Shia beliefs on a billion plus Sunni Muslims around the world? Is that what's going on here?
Well, in the good old days and during the Bush years, we were the axis of evil, and we were at the top of the list. Now, unfortunately, we have rivals like China and Russia, and we're sometimes ignored in the West, and our evilness doesn't count for as much as before. So it's always good to hear these people speak about the evilness of Iran. It reminds us of those good old days of George Bush. But I think
imagine if Iran killed 35,000 people in the span of 6 months.
Simply for self-interest. They are complicit in this genocide, and they want to otherize Iran to draw attention away from the real issue. Of course, these protests are serving the interests of a foreign country. It's serving the interests of the Palestinian nation. It's serving the interests of the people of Gaza and the West Bank and those in Israel 1967 who are less than second-class citizens. It serves their interests. It serves the interests of humanity. But these regimes, by otherizing Iran, they do the same thing that George Bush did. They need enemies in order to justify their policies. Iran is an axis. I mean, back then, you recall, it was the Soviet Union had collapsed.
I do remember that, Spooky. I don't think that went over so well, did it?
It was the unipolar moment. It was sort of if you recall, it was the end of history, as Fukuyama and many others believed. And even after Fukuyama retreated from that position, it was still the mentality that that existed in the West. At that time, they needed to demonize Iran because it served their agenda in our region. And the same is true with these regimes for their own more, let's say,
parochial or local.
Yes, exactly. For their own local. But let me just add one sentence, and that is that Iran, no country has willingly sacrificed as much as Iran for the Palestinian cause. Lebanon has sacrificed a lot. the Israelis invaded it, they attack it. Syria, the dirty war, and the occupation of the Golan Heights, great sacrifice. The Palestinian people, the ultimate sacrifice. There's no doubt about it. But Iran chose to make sacrifice for the Palestinian cause over the decades. That is why Iran has been sanctioned for decades. That is why maximum pressure sanctions were imposed on Iran. It has nothing to do with Iran's nuclear program or human rights or whatever it is that the Americans and the Europeans use to sanction Iran, terrorism, and tomorrow will be global warming or whatever. The real reason is because Iran supports the Palestinian cause. Let us imagine if Iran wanted to gain from this, if Iran wanted to gain a lot, what would it do right now? If it was just self-interest, if it was just Iranian selfishness trying to exploit the region for its own gain, do you think at this moment when the Israeli regime is floundering that the Americans would not be willing to give Iran the world? If the Iranians were willing to relinquish their support for the resistance, their military support, just their military support, and then they continue to support them verbally like Mr. Erdogan and others, what do you think the Americans would be willing to give to Iran? I think they'd give Iran quite a lot, but Iran would never think about it. Anyone who, as I said, anyone who goes and looks into Iranian history before the revolution, Ayatollah Khomeini, Imam Khomeini, his companions, the movements, the parties, the issue of Palestine and South Africa was a part of the revolution from the very beginning. These were key issues.
Now, if you cast your mind back to the so-called Green Revolution, which was, I suppose we could call it in hindsight, a regime change attempt that was sponsored by, I mean, literally sponsored by the State Department under Hillary Clinton in the early days of the Obama
We were changing our profile pictures.
And, people on social media were changing their profile pics to green in order to show their support. And
you got to stop falling for that shit.
As always happens in these cases, there are sort of video clips that circulate that, allegedly, because we can't really verify or trust what is shown especially since at that time it was very explicit that Twitter was working, and they were very proud of this with the State Department to promote these protests in Iran. And one of the slogans that we were told was coming out of these protests was that poor hungry Iranians were resentful that all this money and support was going to Palestine instead of to the Iranian people. In other words, there was an effort to present Iran's support for Palestine as an elite project disconnected from the needs and desires of the masses of the Iranian people. And I think those attempts are still made. Tell us more about, you're in Tehran, what is the social understanding and connection with the cause of Palestine, particularly with what's happening in Gaza right now?
Iran has always been a diverse country with diverse views. And contrary to what many, I think overwhelmingly people in the West think, largely because of the Western media, people in Iran express their views very openly. Many at university, colleagues are opposed to spending money for Hamas or Islamic Jihad. During that, the 2009, after the presidential election, and when the riots began, and the protests and the riots, some were protests, some were riots, one slogan was "No to Gaza, no to Lebanon." So these people were saying that we want to cut off support for these resistance movements. That exists today among a segment of Iranian society, but overwhelmingly, Iranians are sympathetic towards the Palestinians, and even those who took part in 2009 in the riots and the protests, not all of them believed in such a slogan. Some people were many of them were against President Ahmadinejad at that time, and I was no fan of his either, although he won the election fair and square. But I never was interested in him. But many who were opposed to him were not opposed to Gaza and Lebanon. But of course, the Western media, they will pick and choose, whatever images they want and present it. It's sort of like in Paris, if the police are beating people on the heads with batons, they'll say the rioters are a threat to the security of the people of France. But if police in Iran are hitting people with batons, they'll say, look at the brutal criminal Iranian regime beating, innocent Iranian protesters. The same.
I mean, you saw during the George Floyd protests, night after night of brutal police violence assaulting these protesters. The kind of thing that when you see it in Iran or anywhere else, or Hong Kong or whatever, look at this brutal regime. Look at this brutal, violent regime assaulting these peaceful democratic protesters. Night after night for months during those protests, coming up on 4 years ago now. Non-stop police violence. And in fact, police were escalating those into riots. Night after night. Example after example. It's really amazing the way that they can support both of these things at the same time. Oh, the brutal regime attacking these peaceful protesters. It's so absurd.
Image would have two completely different interpretations presented by the Western media. So these sound bites create the image that those who were protesting against Ahmadinejad were all against Palestine, Gaza, which is absolutely untrue. But there were those, and there are those today, who say that why should we get involved? We have our own troubles. But when you look at the polls consistently throughout the years, and polls that are taken not by Iranian institutions, but by Western institutions, the support for the Palestinian people is overwhelming. The degree to which Iran should support the resistance groups, some say we should do more, some say what we're doing now is adequate, some say we should do less. But the support is for the Palestinians is almost universal. And those who want Iran to support, meaning fund and aid the Palestinian cause financially, is a huge majority. It's a huge majority. So sympathy is almost universal, and a huge majority supports Iran's, let's say, material support for the resistance. Though, as I said, there are different views on how much and how, but for the most part, people support Iran's policy, and that is especially true after Gaza.
That was a great talk. I'm going to link the video in the chat. There's about another 30 minutes to go or so. I'm going to throw the video URL in the chat. Please make sure you're subscribed to Electronic Intifada because they really do such fantastic work. I've really got to reach out to Abu Ali Nimat about coming on this show because that would be really great. I am going to have to get going soon, folks. I got to leave in about 10 minutes to pick up my kid from school, and it's all rainy and windy and gross right now, so really not looking forward to that. But I really appreciate everyone tuning in today. For the handful of viewers on TikTok that are hanging out. Now I think it's just Lodane and Plunger Man on there. But it was great. It was great hanging out with you today. As you can see by looking at this number at the bottom of the screen, as you can see, I'm a mere minor 14 subs away from the goal. So once again, if you can, please support this program. Really trying to hit those goals every single day on here. 3 hours and 11 minutes and counting this stream.
You can count on me.
And if you enjoy this program,
talk you through all this.
Like Max 198Z Max, thanks for the 2 gifted subs. Really, really appreciate that. We're down to 12. And if you enjoy this show and you enjoy tuning into this program every single day, and you like spending time here, and you like the work that I do here on Twitch.tv and TikTok, and you want to support this community, and you want to support the work that I do, please subscribe if you can. 12 subs to go to get to the goal. And in fact, one person could, in theory, get us almost all the way to the goal, and trigger one of the very, very best super rare and exclusive alerts by gifting 10 subs or above. We haven't seen a 20 sub gift in a while, which is, that's a lot. I get it. That's a gift. That's a big gift sub. It is a very cool alert, though. It is a very cool alert when someone does grace the stream with such a very generous gift. And Max, you yourself are not subbed. Well, the question is someone in the community going to gift a sub to Max, who appreciates the old video games and the high grade, high quality industrial and food grade glycine products of Donghua Jinlong?
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Dr. Maggot, thank you for another gifted sub. I appreciate you, Dr. Maggot. Thank you for that. A rare and special thing. It's not for everyone.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through
Some people
all
don't
this.
really have that extra oomph to be the big hero we need. It's not exactly. Not everyone has the ability to do that. Not everyone is that cool, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And Dr. Maggot, thank you for gifting another sub. I appreciate that. Somehow Max avoided the sub. I was about to get Max and someone got him. That's weird because I haven't seen any indication. Oh, it's just not working. Okay, I got it. Well, folks, only 10 subs to go. Only 10 measly subs to go. One extremely brave and generous hero could, in theory, get us to the finish line and trigger one of the very best alerts, one of the coolest and most exclusive alerts available on this platform. And really, even if you don't like this stream, even if you don't like me, if you do like Donghua Jinlong's high-quality industrial food and pharmaceutical grade glycine, you can show your support by subscribing to this stream. A person who doesn't like this streaming, who doesn't exist. Well, human person, thank you for that. I've got haters, believe me. I don't understand it either.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Almost golden.
I don't understand it either. I do have a couple haters, though. Bless their hearts. Bless their hearts. Max, thank you for the Prime. Very much appreciated. You chasing Pesky Paul. Calling him Pesky Paul. I feel like my Trump's getting a little bit better. I think I'm finally starting to get it. Not quite. It's not quite there. Oh, and one more thing, folks. There's still a couple hours left for a sale at TeePublic. You still got 35% off for the next 12 hours. So if you want to get TRRS merch, like this shirt, or the brand new K Bono t-shirt design at the TRRS merch store It's on sale right now. You can get it. You can get it. Do not be Kijiji Genie and pay full price because you're impatient. Not lying for clout. Generally, two of my fave shirts that I have. Me too. I genuinely really, I wear TRRS merch almost every day. Almost every day. And I do think it's got some really fantastic designs. And this new, in fact, while I was streaming, I ordered a K-Bono shirt for myself. So I should have that soon. And a hoodie. Many people are calling him Muad'Dib, little desert mouse. Folks, only 9 subs to go. Only 9 subs to get to the goal. Really trying to hit those targets every day. I'm trying. Trying to put the time in necessary to get there. 9 subs to go. Just a few brave heroes could once again drag my tired ass across the finish line. Pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. It's exciting content as well. Everyone loves this part. I agree, Silver Age. I don't think it's going to be any problem. I know that those final subs are going to roll in any moment now. Any moment now. We'll see tomorrow.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Sam, thank you very much for 5 gifted subs. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Sam. Thank you for all the support over the years. Very, very kind of you, Sam. Thank you. And now only 4 measly little subs to go. When we raid here, we're going to make sure that everyone understands our support for Donghua Jinglong's industrial food and pharmaceutical grade glycine. What's that, Dr. Maggot? I actually didn't see it. I'm mandating they have to be nice to yourself one time this evening. I'm omniscient and I will find you and jail you. Okay, well, I guess I'll try. If you say so. I was planning on being super mean to myself and feeling anxious and feeling bad about myself and going over some of the mistakes that I've made in life and feeling bad about those. But if Dr. Maggot, if you're insisting that I don't do that and that I'm nice to myself, I guess I have no choice but to comply. So preemptive thank you to who's going to gift the 4 subs. I know those 4 subs are coming in just a moment. So preemptive thank you for those. Thanks for tuning in today. Again, folks, I will be here once again tomorrow. Thanks for tuning on TikTok as well. I'll see you next time.